thank you all for being here early and right away. It's nice to say that there is a great crowd for our friend tonight, Mr. Mike Alonzo, Clobbering Times, aka Clubby. It's been a week, and it's been a lot of thinking, a lot of grieving, and however, it's definitely also a lot of remembrance and reminiscing of how much great we had together. And we're gonna do our best to try to think about exclusively the good stuff as much as we can. So we'll have a 10 seconds of silence for our friend, and then we will bring the panel in, starting with our 10 seconds of sound starting now. Thank you, seriously. I appreciate you all being here. In the pinned comment, I wrote, please do not super chat. I did not put a direct donation link. I didn't plug any of our channels in the description. I did none of that. No, I turned off monetization. I just want you all here just so you guys could take the time to be here. So thank you for being here. This is the channel stuff. Yeah, this is all about our friend Clubby tonight. And of course we'll have our usual suspects, and of course we'll rotate a few people throughout the show tonight. And I know some people are asking for links. We will definitely get to you as much as you can. So I know it's gonna be hard to keep it brief, but let's just try to be respectable of letting people in as much as we can. I will, however, continue one tradition, and that is, of course, acknowledging our people who are here. So I see FKHC 2005, Abigor, Vulcan Lives, Ruben Christopher Haynes, Tway Nagayan, Keely Chow, Dash Attack. How's it going, Dash? Pat S. Hey, Pat S. Phantom Outsider, Ironhide 84, Great Cobra Avatar, Penny, the Gilda King Vince Womack, Stephen M. Kal-El, because you will always be Kal-El to me, sir. Twirly Wolf, thank you for being here. Guagnar, what's up, Guagnar? 5 picoseconds. Great hanging out with you in Dallas last week. Kendon B, RJ Godzilla, 81, Ruben Christopher Haynes, Savron the 13th, Pole Baby 74, aka Luffy. How's it going, Mass Grave, Tyrannus Cygnus, Pinochet's Helicopter Tours. You guys are making me struggle to keep up with this. Thank you, Slade Wilson 79. Thank you guys for being here early. Yeah, let's bring in our first man here, of course. He's been with me since day one, right before we had Clubby in a little bit later. So Pablo, thank you, sir, for being here.
Brother, sorry if I don't use my regular intro, but
there's a reason why
yeah.
I'm not coming in high energy tonight either. Usually I'm coming in all guns blazing like I'm a freaking Slayer song at breakneck lightning. Tonight's just
brother.
I know.
God damn it. It hits hard. Normally he will be before me and he goes, Pablo! And I'm. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, dude, you owe no apologies, man. I mean, this is a very awesome show that we had together. I mean, it started off with you and I, Caster joined not too farther later, and then Clubby joined, and of course, we eventually had Fenrir, then much later the Common Nerd. Those guys show up when they can, but yeah, other than that, it's pretty much mostly dominantly us four. Like, it's absolutely crazy because I saw Clubby at the very minimum 3 streams a week, sometimes 4, sometimes 5, sometimes a lot more even. Like, it could be because we had our 2 Midnight's Edge After Darks, which is Tuesday and Thursday night. We had the Comic Shop show. Once in a while, I pop in on Mark's Geekery. Once in a while, I pop in on Clubby's Wednesday show. Once in a while, he'd come in on Comics Division's Thursday Night Throwdown. We'd run into each other in Pop Culture Minefield. Remember when we were there for Tom Connors for his birthday last year? Like, it was like we didn't have to like go looking for each other. We always found each other, like, just because it was great. It was a feeling that never got old, and it was awesome. and it was always wonderful to be in that presence, and it really felt like a genuine, truly authentic friendship, even though we
Yeah.
have never hung out in person. But it all feels like you guys are like, you know, my actual friends.
Brother, I, at this point, I'm kind of angry about my upbringing and everything because for for me the value of the time of a person is how much people gets impacted if I stop that person for a second, right? So
Hmm.
I don't go out of my way to make people lose their time because I may be affecting more people. And that means I never write to anyone, I never contact anyone because they are doing their stuff and I'm doing my stuff, and we will meet again.
Hmm. Yes, we will. Absolutely, man. This is just hey,
But
this could be
yeah,
an extended break, but our paths will cross again.
yeah, but god damn it, I really wanted to do the review of Justice with him, and I keep postponing it.
Hmm.
And Justice is absolutely brilliant, and he was spot on. It was great,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I wanted to talk more about that with him. He was the only one that got my really deep Star Wars and Star Trek and Douglas Adams references, because he knew it all.
Oh God, right? Oh man. No matter how much you thought you knew, he ran circles around us all, and yet we still loved it. We were like, "Oh no, how dare this guy show us up?" We loved it because it inspired us to want to like be up there on his level. It just that's all it did was inspire me, and I thought, man, the like it's that whole quote about like he forgot more stuff than we remember.
Yes,
And it's true.
it's
It was actually accurate. This wasn't like some hyperbolic statement or exaggerated. This was the 100%. I'd even dare say not just a subjective truth, but an objective one at that.
brother. I have done the same joke for almost 20 years.
Hmm.
He was the first person that actually understood when I say yellow.
What do you
There's a
mean?
bulldozer outside when you
Hmm.
say yellow. That's what Arthur Dent is thinking
Hmm.
while his home is about to be demolished on the Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, see, I never read that. Okay,
He
but
understood it
of course,
first time,
of course he did.
first goddamn time, and just yellow, man. It's just a color, and he got the reference.
He's a true geek through and through. True geek through and through. You could not, you could try as hard as you can to try to get him all you want. You weren't. You just weren't. Even if it was just out of fun, whether it was spite or even just out of genuine fun, you weren't gonna get him. And I've talked to many guys like, oh, I wonder if he's got this. And nope, Clubby had it. He already knew that piece of knowledge. Even from people who've been into a lot of these mediums, whichever one you want to choose, who may have been into it longer than he has, and he had them. But he was always fun about it. He wasn't cocky about it. He didn't brag about it. It was just who he was. That was his passions.
So, brother, he was incredible. He he really was. The fact is that most people realize how incredible he was.
Hmm.
I don't think no, but there's not many people that understand it
No,
because it's
I agree.
unmeasurable. It's impossible to comprehend the time that it needs to take to learn all that. The time that it needs to polish every single detail to that level. And
Hmm.
just so he can make other people that bit more joyous with something that they never even knew they wanted.
Mhm.
Every single recommendation, man. Every single recommendation. He was
He n-
spot on. And you know what?
he never had a pretty good recommendation. Every recommendation was an absolutely freaking awesome
Yes.
recommendation. It was always absolutely great. It was like holy crap. He didn't just recommend good stuff. He always had no fantastic four pun intended. It was always a fantastic recommendation.
The only thing that I can take with me is that at one point I make him say something good about Mignola.
Oh, dude, I remember, especially when we did the Hellboy Christmas, because remember he was initially tough about the Hellboy stuff
Yes.
until we were like, let's do his Christmas issue. He was a skeptic, and that was maybe the only time in my life I've ever actually be like, you know what? Actually, this was pretty good. I was like, I was shocked. I was like, whoa, Clubby had a change of heart. I
Yeah.
couldn't believe it. I was like, I thought I was like, wow, I have a better chance of going vegan than for that to happen. Like, holy
That's
crap.
that's the only
I couldn't
thing that
believe it. It
I
almost didn't feel real, but it was cool because you and I were really enthusiastic about that
yeah,
comic.
and I disagreed with him with his stay with Mignola because I knew that that was not meant for people, it was meant for monsters, and that's why it is how it is.
Mhm.
And I got him to see that.
It was
I
awesome, man.
won
Well,
once.
well done, Pablo. That was really cool to see that, and the fact that he was like, "Oh yeah, I think I actually want to." Remember what he said? He actually wants to read more. Like we'll do
Yes,
like a Hellboy show, like come like
I
fall
you
winter, which we still need
last
to do. By the way, we gotta do that for him. We can't just not do that.
last Espanol show I did. It was you already have sent the news to the chat, but I haven't read it because I was doing the show, and I closed saying that I was waiting so much to talk more Fantastic Four, but most of everything
Hmm.
to have him read through through Hellboy because I wanted to see if he saw what I saw.
Hmm. I think it's safe to say he did, man. Especially with that retrospect. It's one of those things where he got that retrospect view and he saw it from your perspective. And the fact that he was won over and became open to doing more, dude, that was an accomplishment, Pablo. It was an accomplishment. And the fact that he was actually enthusiastic about doing it too was incredible. This is like, whoa. I think that's the only time I've ever seen him full on convert to like anything that he was initially a skeptic on. It was shocking. It really was. But it was wonderful because he was so joyed about that comic. And I was like, whoa, I can't believe it.
Pablo won, Clubby billions.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Okay. I'm gonna acknowledge this member comment since it's now super chat, and then we're bringing Caster. By the way, chat, please no super chats, no direct donations. And I know some of you already know, but for those who are just coming in, thank you. By the way, um, just if you're gonna donate money, just I have the link pinned at the top, and just donate to Clubby for his family. Lester here, who's been a member for 9 months, says, I never thought I'd be as deeply connected via YouTube. Clubby was a glue holding us all together. He glued us all easily, quickly. When he said, my friends, he meant it. Memory, eternal, and prayers. Dude, oh God. Those his words, like what's that statement Robert Meyer Burnett said about authenticity is the best currency? Clubby oozed it. He oozed it. Like he waked up and he breathed it before he got up to, go and brush his teeth. It was, and no matter when he spoke, whether you liked what he said or didn't agree with what he said, it was always honest and from the heart. It was always too from a place of just trying to not have any ill will. He just wanted to really tell you how he
Uh,
felt.
he he wanted to be accurate, so when I don't know if you remember this, Caster was already at this point, but we talk about our favorite comics, and I had the killing joke,
Uh-huh.
and he admitted, "Is everything good? I just think he's wrong." That was it. He knew it was good. He just didn't even care.
Oh yeah, that was always another interesting. He can understand why someone would like something even if he didn't like it, but he understood why. So he had a very understanding perspective, even from
Yes.
that angle. So we'll let Ironcaster now have his say.
What a week.
Mhm.
You know, the news came by complete shock. Yeah, it's one of those things you always you never really think about it's going to happen, and then it comes. But there's a quote I was kind of pondering over as I was waiting to come in. This phrase, "You die twice. One time when
Mhm.
you stop breathing, and a second time a bit later on when somebody says your name for the last time."
Mhm.
And with everyone here, I know it's going to be a long, long time before that second death comes for
Mhm.
Clubby.
Mhm.
He was he was our rock that we all gravitated towards.
Mhm.
He was the guy who would always say, like, your ever loving blue eyed, the ever loving blue eyed idol of millions, as he's quoting the thing, and
Mhm.
it was especially true for him.
Mhm.
He was this idol. Like, I I would turn out to friends. I would go show my friends IRL, some little bit of the stuff I was into, and you know, my brother, like, he's like, I like Clubby, and like, yeah, it's easy to tell, and I had to kind of go break that news to him this week, which
Mhm.
was unfortunate, but you know, little along the way, I was kind of trying to think about little things to kind of keep to uplift me.
Mhm.
He was one of the first channels that invited me on to YouTube when I started kind of coming over and doing this over here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like and then we would be there every week. I can remember, I'm like, that would be the highlight of my week. I'm like, it's Thursday. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go hop on, hang out with Clubby and Raquel and Jed and all the others.
Global Geek
Ash.
Gang, man.
Yeah, it's been so much fun, and so he's been a big part of that for me.
Mhm.
I can I remember always teasing him about One Piece. That's the one thing I
Oh
did.
yeah, oh yeah. I remember I remember hearing the conversations we had about manga with him. That was all. Yeah, it was really interesting when he was like, "Wow, One Piece the show is really good."
That was the one thing I got him to say, like, it really wasn't that bad.
He
Yes.
really loved the actor who played Luffy on that show. I remember him and I had a conversation before Mead. And he's like, "That kid who played Luffy is really good. I really liked him."
Yeah, because the thing that won him over was how they had let Oda in on making the show, so you the creator got to have a lot of input into the show, and I think he had even said something to the effect of, like, that was one of the very best adaptations there was for that reason alone,
Mhm. Mhm.
and yeah, it's crazy to think that he's gone,
Yeah,
but
I know. I'm still like it's still
only
weird for me. I'm not sure if you saw, but Six, who's one of the moderators of Mead,
Mhm.
she dug up, she went through the vault and she found Kalabbi's first ever stream on his channel. And if you listen to the first 5 minutes of yesterday's Mead episode, you listen to it and you hear Clubby like do like a test run, like, is this thing working? Is this where it's hilarious? It's exactly like you probably already hear it now. It is hilarious. It's, oh, okay. There's people responding. I think we're going. Okay, I think we're off to the races. You guys have to hear it. It really like at first it like kind of hurt to hear his voice, but then at like a few seconds
Yeah.
later, it really made me smile. So I think,
Uh,
wow, I can. That's exactly a Klobby show. Anytime Klobby had to, him and Tom were very equal when it came to adjusting to anything new with technology. Him and Tom were always that way.
yeah.
It was
I
such a
think
priceless
Mark C
relationship.
and Raquel posted a video on Clubby's channel. that is an animation with a bit of that sound, and he just being him in the microphone for a few minutes, and he's at the beginning I was scared of clicking the video.
Yeah.
Then you hear his voice, and the thing is, all I ever knew about him was his voice, right?
Yeah.
So it was surreal because I keep waiting to hear it.
Eh, Dude, remember? So, um, I remember last week, last Friday stream, and I hit 2K on my stream last Friday night, and we were all like celebrating. But then I said to Clubby, "You're next." I was like, "Oh no, that's not gonna happen." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." I'm like, "It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen soon." Oh, unfortunately, I was right about how soon it was. I didn't want it to be under the circumstances that it
Yeah,
was.
I
But
know.
man, was that really unfortunate. All right, so let me highlight this here. Jennifer Grover, Canadian 5 says, "Hi guys, I'm really low right now, but I just want to say hi to all." Hi Jennifer, thank you for dropping in. Obviously, it's a bit of a different show tonight. I will send your Canadian 5 to Clubby for his memorial, but thank you. I hope you're having a good Friday night, and I am genuinely glad that you're loaded because I'm probably going to get the same way tonight for my buddy Clubby as well. Cheers to you, Jennifer. Thank you. And also, Bull Rush here. He helped hit the goal amount, so we're gonna highlight it here because it deserves some acknowledging. So Bull Rusher, we're gonna highlight this right here. He donated a nice 30 and look 15,004. So Bull Rush, thank you, man. Appreciate
Dude,
you, bud.
I tried to donate using an account from Ecuador. They don't allow me.
Oh, of course they don't. Of course they don't.
I
Go
I
ahead.
sent money
I'm
to
gonna
my
acknowledge
best
this.
friend in the US so he can send money because they they don't want my money. They don't let me. I was angry about that. I was actually angry about that.
Oh yeah, no, I'd be absolutely, I've been good about not swearing as much on my show, but I'd actually absolutely be batshit fucking pissed if that happened to me.
Yep.
Because I know you would too. That's the thing. I know you would. There's no contesting that. Pat S says, Nick, one of my favorite memories of you and Clubby are when you two are telling everyone about overlooking the new costume DD and Daredevil #7, focusing on how awesome DD was. Just stand up, dude. Oh man, when Clubby and I had a moment to talk about anything with Daredevil, him and I could go 2, 3, 4 hours going nuts about Daredevil. Anti-Derivative Jill, welcome. Says sorry I didn't spend time here. Yo, no apologies. You're here. This is the only time you ever show up here and never again. I'm fine with that. Says I'm a Trek fan. I thought I had nothing to add since I don't know comics. I love Clubby and have always been proud to be communications, and that's fine. That is fine. I have no issue with that. This is about Clubby tonight, so that's why I acknowledge comments like these. So thank you for being here for tonight's special occasion. We're gonna let in not only a friend of the channel, fan. He started off as someone who's a fan of Joe, but over time he became someone who's a friend. Like we actually know, I've let him into my life, and he's obviously gotten to know you guys, Clubby as well, someone who I really, really, really respect. Mr. Dave C, sir, thank you for being here. I know you wouldn't just not, but still, I want to thank you anyways. It's rather appropriate too that you got the Superman and back. It just feels right.
That's been wrapped up since I moved here. As you know, I moved back down to Florida, and thank you for letting me come on today, Pablo Ironcaster, everybody in the chat. So I broke it out just for him. So
worth it, absolutely worth it.
Yeah, man, that dude. I mean, we're all going to say the same things. I'm only smiling so I don't bust out. So
Yeah.
But he brought a lot of humor with him, even when he wasn't trying it. That's the
Yeah.
funny part about. He didn't think he was being funny. He was just like, "Oh, hey, I'm just gonna do this," and I was like, I'm laughing. He was like so close, like, "Why are you laughing?" I'm like, "Dude, you realize,
yeah,
like, no joke
And-
pun intended." I thought he was gonna give
none,
me
none
I thought he was
taken.
gonna give me a heart attack a few times, especially with the Stan Lee impersonations.
Oh,
Oh,
brother.
The Stan Lee impersonations were
And
hilarious.
speaking of those, and
brilliant.
and this is for Anton of Jill. I know she's still out there, so I know I tried to send you some Star Trek stuff, Nick, and he's like, "Oh, not much of a Star Trek fan." I just watch it, man. You'll be okay. You'll be fine. And that, you know, that's the other thing about Clubby. He brought so many people into his life, and not just comics. And it was all the television shows, UFO, and Blake Seven, and obviously Star Trek, right? And he would do that.
Yeah,
he would
him
do
and Raquel. Sorry,
him and Raquel and Mark. And my heart goes out to them right now.
Oh yeah,
whether you're listening or
I hope
traveling.
she can come on tonight. She's got some stuff going on up
Yeah.
north in Canada, and she knows if she wants to come on, she doesn't even have to ask. She just can show
of
up.
Of course. And he would do the Gorn voice, and he would just go on with it, and it would just crack up. Man, I thought she might pee a little. She would just laugh so hard. And you know, just some of the fun things. And then going back with you guys a couple of years with the Christmas show, and this it wasn't comics. We're talking animated. You know, an animated. He loved. I think it was Christmas with the Joker. If I think that might have been his favorite one.
Oh, I love that episode. I
and
remember I love talking. Oh,
yeah.
dude, wow.
Yeah, I got that, and I had to bust this out for Clubby. So I get backwards on the camera. That's just for him.
Dude, yeah.
And I remember how much fun we had. And, we didn't even talk comments. It was just all Christmas animated stuff. And that's what I was talking about. You know, he branched out like that. Yeah. And then I'm trying to get a little quick so you can get some other people on.
No, dude, don't rush yourself.
Take your time.
I'm sure.
I don't want to slow down really, to be honest with you, because it's a little rough, man.
Crom would have been proud of Clubby too. Thank you, Conan, for dropping in.
What I didn't even realize was that everybody's going to talk about this, how long people know him and stuff like that, you know, and I've known you guys for over 4 years now, whether you even know it. And I talk about it all the time, but we're over past 4 years now already.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, Ironcaster, right? And I try to hang out with like Ironcaster every now and then. I can't do it with the job. So, but then I realized, I'm like, yeah, well, dude, you guys are awesome. And I realized the other day that I'm like, well, if it wasn't Nick, Mark, and Clubby, I'm on YouTube 7 days a week. And it's just those three guys right there. And then I try to Ironcaster here on Fridays and Pablo. And then I try to catch Ironcaster on his mech show and stuff like that. It's just difficult. But he's on 4 of those. 4 of those 7. Then he's on any other ones, J-Man. And it's like, wow, dude, this guy's he's a freaking machine. You know,
he's getting an emote, and yes, he would have protested it to the moon. No, he would not protest it to the moon back. He would protested that to universes and back. He would have gone. He would I could already hear him now. He probably would have sent me a side message. They say, "What are you doing?" Yeah, that's absolutely nuts. Oh yeah, I could already
that will have
accept it. You're not. I'm not going back on that.
Yeah, that will have made it even funnier. Because when he resisted, it was when I still remember Raquel did a stream where Clubby was really angry because she had said I think it was a GoFundMe for a hurricane.
Yes, I remember that. The bad weather he was going through at the time in Louisiana.
He was really angry. And yet he was I'm still saying thanks, but
I can hear that right now from him.
He was so funny on things. You know how we talk about slabbed and not slabbed, and Nick's kind of a purist, and most of you guys are. You want to get your hands on things, but some of these comics are getting old, and they've got to be protected. And he was always talking sometimes that was it the Batman 227, Neil Adams and Danny McNeil. And I talked to him about that one time, and I said, "Hey man, if you had your choice between like a 7.5 slab, both signed by those guys, because there was one for sale, I couldn't touch. It was too much money. Or just a regular, like a 4.0 that you could get your hands on. And he said, both. I want both. I was like, damn right, dude. That's the right answer, man. I want both. And I just laughed my ass off, man. I was like, well, shit, man. You're right. I want freaking both of those.
Oh, that guy.
So
Yeah,
I was like,
I can hear it.
Yeah,
I remember I'm looking at some toys online. I'm like, man, hey, what do you think I should do? He says like, oh, which ones do you want? I wrote him a list of this. And he's like, well, you should just get them all. I was like, damn it. that's what you get me for. That's it. That's your advice. Fine. Oh man, yeah, dude. Oh yeah. He was the best, worst influence about that stuff. He really was the best, worst influence. And you felt good about it too. You felt good about it. Like, yeah, absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it.
Yeah, you get him and Mark D together. You
Oh,
better get that
dude,
credit
Mark's
card
been
out,
another
man,
awful
because they
influence
would
on my
put
life.
he would put that list up of all those comics on his Mondays or Wednesday show. And he's like, yeah, I got that one, or I'd buy that one. I wouldn't buy that one, but I'd buy those four. And I'm like, man, I want to go back and buy those freaking four. And then Mark's like, oh, look at this. And I'm like, God, dude, it was awesome.
Oh, I know. So, okay. I'm gonna highlight something real quick. My buddy Guagnar, he had sent me, and I can't seem to get a good zoom on it, so I'm gonna read this to you guys, and then we're gonna bring in D-Bud Martin.
I can send you the link for the actual issue where it is.
Dude, shoot to me to a DM real quick.
Yes,
and then we'll bring in D-Bud, because I do want to bring him in. And Dave, you can stick around, man. So
okay, cool. Just whenever you need, man, just let me know.
Yeah,
it's in the private chat.
We need to rotate you out. We'll say some, but right now I am
because I've known D-Bud for a long time. I've known a lot of people in the chat, man.
It will be page 31.
He is being very, very patient. Okay, thank you, Pablo. Okay. So, guys, Guagnar sent it to me, but now I am lucky that we're able to get in a zoomed version of this comic. Thank you, Pablo, by the way. Let's see. I'm digging right now for that particular panel. Oh, got it. Okay. So, this was issue number 251 of The Incredible Hulk, written by Bill Mantlo and drawn by Sal Buscema. And right here, Clubby writes right here. This right here says, "Dear Bill and Sal, you two are the greatest duo Marvel has had since the days of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. You've proven it here in The Incredible Hulk and in the pages of Rom the Space Knight. Great work, Mike Alonso." And right there, Louisiana, Denham Springs. So, and we all know that's no accident. That's our Clubby. That's from Louisiana. Michael Alonso, that's him. So,
okay,
Wagner, thank you for bringing this to my attention, man. This is absolutely amazing, sir.
Somebody has to say this: how his opinion changed over the years. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, a good duo. Jack Kirby did everything. Stan Lee did absolutely nothing.
Wagner confirmed that was him. Yeah, Clubby confirmed this was him. All right. I'm going to announce just one last comment, and then we're going to bring in D-Bud. Mr. Angel says, I got to know Clubby's channel when I was out in the hospital with a heart attack. Wow. I'm glad you're still here, bud. Saturday nights with Clubby was one of the things that kept me going. I so wish I could return the fair. Dude, see, this is the stuff that I love seeing because he had that effect. He absolutely did. So I love seeing that. And him and I had a few conversations about Rom the Space Knight. We absolutely did. All right, let's bring in D-Bud Barn. Obviously, you guys know him. He's on several other chats as a moderator. He's been on the show a few times, talking Spider-Man, some Nova, once in a while, even on Clubby's channel on the Wednesday night show. Dude, it's been a week, man, but I'm glad you could be here for this occasion.
Yeah, I'm very thankful for you to have me on. I wish I could have been on the Wednesday show, but it was so busy.
Oh, dude, I was so busy. On to like 3.5 hours into the show.
Yeah, I was so busy modding, I didn't even think about it because I was so busy greeting everybody. There were so many people that I saw in the chat that I hadn't seen for a while, or
Mhm.
weren't normally in Clubby's chat, but I knew
Yeah.
from, of course, all the other channels that I'm on. And yeah, it was also just draining. I was so tired. I had to go to bed. I was listening to Jagiri this afternoon, and he was just watching it, and he was drained just because it was so emotional. And that's something I wanted to say is I really want to shout out Mark D and Raquel.
Mhm.
Man, what they did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that must have been so incredibly draining for them.
Oh, it had to have been an undertaking for them.
Especially Raquel. I can't believe she was able to do it. She loves Clubby so much, and he loved her so much. If he was here right now, he'd be apologizing to her profusely for upsetting her. So, yeah, I've just Herculean effort by those folks. That it was so hard. Yeah, I've been listening to you guys, and a lot of what each of you've said are things that I kind of had the same feelings on. The Pablo, I wanted to stream with him so many more times, and he always was, I want you to come on and review comics with me, and I wanted to. It just, his show is harder for me to do because it's on a school night, and it's been easier for me to do your show because it's Fridays. But thankfully, just 3 weeks ago, I was able to do another stream with him. Because I was on vacation. I'm like, hey, this is a perfect time. I talked to him after one of the Spider-Man shows we did. It was actually the last one that he did with us on Spider-Man. And so, hey, we can do it this time. And so I feel good about the fact that I was able to do that, before this happened. I wish I could have done so many more with him, and trying to think of ways that I could at least do some of it when, even when I wasn't on vacation, just because he just wanted so much to do more books with me. And I've pretty much met most of you guys through Clubby. I think, first time I was ever on a stream was on Jed's channel, and Ironcaster was on that one, in fact. And the next one, Pablo was on, and like Mark D and Brian, I met through that. And I mean, Jed was the first person to make me a mod, but Clubby was the second. I've been, and Clubby's been consistent. He's been the one I've really modded strongly for the longest. And yeah, I think it kind of wore me out because he was on 4 nights a week, and on his show, then he's on me.
Just his show, just
on the other
show.
2 nights, and then like Mark D's on Sunday night, and so he streams 7 days a week.
Oh yeah, dude. If it wasn't his show, it was Midnight's Edge After Dark. Once in a while, the morning show. Obviously Mark USC. Once in a while, Pop Culture Minefield. I remember once in a while he would have to dip out early or show up late to the comic shop because he was on Doomcocks. He always was getting around, and he
WDW Pro show.
WDW Pro. Yeah, that's true.
He did a nice video for Clubby. Yesterday. Yeah. So, and then Dave's here. I think I probably met you in Clubby's chat.
J-Man too. Yeah, J-Man too. They're doing the Legion. They had done, I think they had just wrapped up Daredevil, if I remember. They had just wrapped up Daredevil. They're now doing the Legion.
Yeah, and they're continuing their Fantastic Fours. I was watching that. And speaking of which, that last show I was on with Clubby, they had just done Fantastic Four 22 is one of the ones they did.
Oh wow.
That's this one.
Wow.
And I showed this on that Wednesday stream I was on with them because they had done it. I said, this is the oldest FF I still have. And of course, this is a very important one to Clubby.
Yeah.
for one other reason, and that's because this was the first issue that the thing uttered the phrase. Come on,
Clobbering
focus.
time.
It's
No.
clobbering
It's
time.
clobbering time.
Oh.
So yeah, this is the origin of Clubby's name right here.
Oh.
And
Oh.
and I fished this one out because I have this
Oh,
one
yeah.
too. This is
Zooming in again, bud. Oh,
yeah,
it's really
this
great cover.
is like probably his second or third favorite thing cover. Of course, 51 is his favorite, but
Oh,
this
yeah.
is right up there with
Man,
him.
that monster.
And this was like the third Fantastic Four comic I ever bought
Wow.
at the 7-Eleven down the street from me.
Nice.
So-
That's incredible. That's
Can't wait
absolutely
till J-Man gets to these.
Oh man, you're in for a treat, J-Man. You are in for
Yeah.
a wow. You are in for a ride. Seriously, yeah. That like to me like that Lee Kirby run is like that's a sacred thing for me. It's one of those like I always have that on standby on my shelf nearest to me when I'm over here on my desk. I always have that stuff on standby. Just always go to always. It's one of those runs for me of comics. It's just one of those runs.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have loved to have done some with Clubby, but then
Oh,
G-Man beat us to it.
yeah,
Well,
right. Even beat us all.
D-Bud, I'm just going to mention real quick. I don't know if you caught this while you're waiting, and I was telling the guys that his influence on people bringing them in for all kinds of sci-fi TVs, all this. I don't remember having a lot of Fantastic Fours, a few, and you pulling that out is perfect because I had just said like, not my ball in a straight run right now. I don't have it. I'm trying to get it. Maybe it's 21 to 115 straight through, you know. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm ready to just dip into the bank and just buy it just because. Now I wanted to. Now I think I really want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I used
that's
to
his
have.
influence. That's how strong that influence is. And Nick, you guys are the same way, and I, Castor, and Pablo, and everybody. And it's just because everybody's so cool and awesome. But that's what he could do, and we all seen that.
What we love,
guys.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I love seeing like Muhammad said in our chat here. He's been. He keeps talking about all these old books that he's been reading.
His enthusiasm,
and a lot of them,
really
Clubby
contagious.
Told him about, and it's like, I love seeing Muhammad, all the stuff he keeps saying. Oh yeah, I started to read this book and this book. I'm like, oh dude, I'm jealous because I'd love to be reading those books again for the first time.
On that regard, Clubby was a bit of a bad influence because he was the one that normally people will go like, maybe it's too pricey, maybe you shouldn't. He gave you the reasons.
Well, I tell you, if I win the bid on these comics, I'm gonna have to get a third freaking job.
I was thinking, okay, yesterday I needed to get out of my house. I needed to get some fresh air. I don't know, and there was a Magic the Gathering event that I really was not intended to go because it was too much money. The new set is absurd money. And at one point I go like, what will Clubby have said I should do? Go twice. Go thrice. Go anytime you need.
Oh, dude. I won't forget, like, I remember once in a while I'd be on the Geekery. I used to be on more often, but the last 8-9 months kind of like slowed me away from that process. But once in a while I'd be on there, and all of a sudden we bring up food. And we would just look at what looks like the most delicious thing that would clog the arteries. Like, we need double of that. We need triple of that. Oh man.
More gluten.
Oh, dude, yeah, more gluten, more calcium, more everything. It was there was no such thing as less. It was just more is more, and
He loved life.
Yes.
He loved it. He really loved life.
Oh yeah. Oh, I will never forgive Mark for his weird
God.
clamping.
Oh.
I remember Clubby and I, man. If we ever all together in person, you keep your stuff back at home. We're having the real stuff around the men. We don't touch that weird stuff. Oh, Mark.
But he had a good eye for quality.
Oh.
I'm teasing Dave over there to have him.
Let me get my let me
It's
pull up
another
another
thing
more,
cover
let me
I
pull up
pulled
another
out.
credit account here so I can get that bid in.
Well, you know, I used to have I had Fantastic Four number 5, first Doctor Doom, and then from number 8 on, and that was before I sold my collection. This one's my special Fantastic Four because this is the first one that I ever bought off of the spinner rack and a 7-Eleven by my house. It's number 76.
Oh,
and that's something else. You know,
amazing.
I wanted to say that, you know, I was buying comics several years before Clubby did, and I was buying back issues a few years before Clubby had even bought any comics.
Wow.
But and I owned comic book stores for about 10 years, and I don't know a fraction of what Clubby knew.
That
He
should
knew
tell
so
you
much
something.
more. Yeah, it was scary how much he knew about all the artists and the history and all. I mean, I saw the books. I kind of know Silver Age Marvel pretty well, and a bit of some of the Bronze Age Marvels, but he knew every Marvels, DC's, a lot of independents. He just knew so much more than me. It's just mind-boggling to me.
He knew dates. He was good with the switching of inkers. He could tell you if there was a certain issue where someone got credited, but actually wasn't that person who did it. It ended up being this one, but someone took the credit for it. He would know all the behind the scenes on it as well.
All that. The one thing he was not good on, which he always admitted, was issue numbers. He couldn't always remember issue numbers for certain stories. Yeah, I'm good at that, but I'm a mathematician, so I guess I'm just good because of the numbers. But that was his only weakness.
Oh, Clubby.
But yeah, he loved this one, this Hulk thing.
Oh,
this was
I love that comic.
John Buscema one, and he took over the book.
Oh, it's such a good comic.
So let's just be part of that run that you want to get, Dave. So, just saying.
Yeah, just being a bad influence to you more time.
Being a bad influence. Keep it up for Clubby there. You got to keep up pushing those comic books.
Tyrannus has been a member for 5 months. Thank you, Tyrannus. Hopefully you're having as best of a Friday night as you can, sir. Diesel has been a member for 9 months. And thank you guys for keep it at the member stuff. I know he hit the goal, but still, the more we can help him, the better. Thank you. Diesel says, just want to say how grateful I am to have been able to stream here to Clubby twice on Comic Shop Talk. Like I told him both times, it was a pleasure. Dude, I told him all the time how much I love that no matter where I went, there was always a good possibility that I was going to run into him. And I never got sick of it. Like, it was kind of like those rare, it was like the roommate that work situation. Like, this was like, you hear someone when you're around someone too much, you get tired of them, and you start to even the little things about them, even if it's not inherently bad, you just, for some reason, it just ticks you off for some weird reason. Now, him and I, man, no way, impossible. I just love being around him. Even though I was around him 3, 4, sometimes 5 or 6 times a week for several hours, there would be times where him and I would stream one-on-one, and of course, then there's be the shows with me, him, and Mark. There are times where we would chat after the show for an hour or two after, sometimes 3, where, holy crap, we just chat as long as we did the actual stream. We might as well should have just kept going, made some money while we were at it. That would happen a handful of times. It happened at the very least a handful of times. And from what I know from
we've done that here.
Clubby, Mark and Clubby did the same thing with the geekery as well. I believe every bit of it, because we were just like, Like there was one, like usually it happened on rare nights where I didn't have work this way, but one time I didn't tell, I never told my soul, and obviously I'm glad I never did. But one day, him and I were chatting for 3 hours till after the show. I didn't tell him I had work the next morning. I had to get up at 5 a.m. It's just because I was having such an engaging chat. I'm like, fuck it, you only live once, just do it. And I'm so glad I did. It was always a pleasure being around him. So I second your comment, Diesel. Thank you. And this is another thing. Once again, a very notable comment from our bud 70s. He's not into comics. Ain't listening to Clubby talk about for. I know many people who had known nothing or weren't into media, but listen to him about it, no problem. Not a problem at all. And welcome to the show, Fenrir. Sorry it took a while. I know it's trying to just be considerate to letting everyone have their time.
I know everybody wants to talk about the guy. This has been a very odd couple of weeks, and really, it's really rocking everybody's world. I mean, he was such a great guy, fun to be around, and he was like our ancient Chinese master at the top of a mountain, swinging his sword and moving his beard. Just teaches all about kung fu. He was a great dude, man.
That's a really good analogy, by the way. Sorry, but sorry, Fender. That's a really good analogy, by the way. He really was like the kung fu master. He really was.
Yes.
Wow, that was a great way to start the statement. By the way, I just want to give you credit for that, Fender. That's excellent. You nailed it. Go on. Man.
He was always there for a good conversation when you need it. He always had in his mind every bit of information about geekdom you can think of. And if you just got something wrong, he was right there to put you in the right path. He was a great dude, man. I know we won't be able to see him for a very long time, but I'm glad I met him in this life. And if we're lucky in the next one, if there is one, I hope to meet him again. We do.
He'll still be at a comic shop then.
Yeah, I mean, he's up there chilling with Kirby and all them, talking a bunch of crap.
Yeah, smoking a bunch of cigarettes.
He's like, no worries, man.
They are pointing down.
Take your time. I'm hanging with the bros, man. I'm hanging with the bros.
He's with Kirby, and they are pointing down, laughing at Stan Lee.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, because he told me, Dave, you are gonna go back and get that Black Panther series again. Dude. And I said I did. I said, fuck it. And I went and got that's just the one through. I went back and I told you, Nick, one Iron Catcher a long time ago, dude, that I sold that years ago. And I told you his influence was amazing. And I went back and I said, fuck it. I went back. I'm sorry for the language.
Dude, it's okay. Now, but it's okay.
Then I went back and bought the whole run, man.
Dude,
I want to get it back.
That's a find right there. That Black Panther comic. Wow.
Yeah, that's the kind of influence that. And listen, you guys are influenced. D-Bud, everybody here, the whole chat, and I mean it's crazy. Like we're talking about 227. I bought this little mini series only because of the damn cover, just so I could show him that I got it. I haven't even read it yet. And you know what? You talk about knowledge. He goes, "Oh yeah, that's Matt Wagner." I know. That's like, who the hell's Matt Wagner? And I was like, "Oh shit, that's that guy. It's on the cover." And I was like, "Damn, dude, you know, that's how."
He was like a living encyclopedia.
Yeah.
You know, I had a thought this week. It's like, of course, Clubby had to go out on Wednesday on New Comic Book Day.
You're right.
New Comic Book Day.
You're right.
Who was it? Somebody had said in one of the streams about that. Well, you know, he wound up not having to see the last episode of the Acolyte that just came out.
Oh yeah, he dodged. Clubby dodged a bullet, not having to watch it. And you know he would have watched it, Tessera.
He would have suffered through it.
On it. He would have sucked it up. He would have sucked it just so he could shred on it. He would have done it. He would have absolutely done it. And that I always look forward to when he would post once in a while on Twix about whenever he saw something that's awful. He usually had that Rorschach drawing. He would write his quote about what he named the episode or the show. And it was always under the Rorschach word bubble about how awful it was. I remember he did for Picard, he did for Eternals. I just Shang-Chi. I remember it was always I look for those posts, and he always got people crazy about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this one would have been unlike anything he's ever seen before. I mean, God, I would rather have someone beating me with a hammer instead of keep watching that stuff. I don't even know how I do it. I'm not even doing the video. What is wrong with me? God, someone save me.
It was absolutely freaking hilarious to see his post. I won't forget when me, him, and Tom would just take endless shots at Zack Snyder on Mead. And this is when
Hack Snyder.
Hack Snyder.
Hack
Sorry, I
Snyder.
being corrected. Hack Snyder. Where we would all
The
take our
man of
shots
stool.
at
Man of
a
stool.
But
man
the
of
Snyder
stool.
cut was good,
Yeah,
right?
Snyder butt. Yeah, Snyder butt.
Bull versus Shite.
Yeah, Bull versus Tight. Dude, the names became so infused in my memory. I would accidentally call that when I was in front of like a crowd of like I used to say either like my friends around in the state or people I was just normally people at work. I would end up saying some of these things on accident. I'm like, oh, you saw Eternals? Oh, hold on. I mean, Eternals movie. Oh yeah, I'd mistaken it a few times. Luckily, not many, but there was a handful of times. Oh, God damn it, Clubby, you got me saying that now. Look what you've done. And I know he was proud of that too. He was proud of that. He was very proud of that influence. I remember I think Diva, you were actually a part of one of the times we were hanging out at their comic shop show. I think it was one of the times. I think we had wrapped up a show, and I'm like, "Hey guys, Rip is debating some crazy guy. Should we all watch it?"
Yes,
and we
he
all,
did.
it was me,
Yeah.
you, Pablo, Castler,
He said-
Chloe. We all hung off like what, an hour and a
Oh, it
half,
was an hour.
2 hours.
It was at least an hour and a half.
At least an hour. You were just watching this debate, laughing. So I was just like, we're basically having we might as well should have just kept streaming because we're just laughing at the ridiculousness of it all. Right? This is oh man,
Call
so
him like
funny.
egg shaped.
Oh yeah, Eggman. It was Eggman. I remember it's the egg-shaped guy. Oh yeah, I remember Eggman. That was what we called him, Eggman.
That's right.
Oh dude. Oh, good times. oh, that was absolutely amazing. That was fun. I was pretty drunk that night too. I was gone. I was loaded that night.
I was.
I'm sorry, Pablo. Go ahead.
Oh, I
Go
was
ahead,
going
Pablo.
to some videos because I wanted to find a particular one, and I went to episode 69 of the
Nice.
show.
Yeah.
The one where Ironcaster most likely don't remember shit.
Oh,
Oh, and Caster got blasted, dude. Caster, I
Yeah.
don't think Caster finished that show.
He
Wait, which
finished
game
the
was this?
show. He was
I don't think he
blasted at the
remembers
end,
it,
but
did
he
he?
was
Finish-
at the
Did he finish?
Was it the
show?
Friday
No.
night? Was it the Friday night?
It was
one?
the comic shop talk. It
Yes.
definitely
Yep.
was.
Oh God, faux pas there. My bad. Friday night.
You didn't even
Comics
finish
69.
the bottle. And
No,
he was-
you didn't.
he was gone.
Oh, at the end, he actually jogged the last bit of the moonshine.
Oh, he did.
I remember that. I remember that show now. Oh man,
That does sound like something I would do.
Jar Jar,
man.
yes. Somebody, who was it? Tom pointed out that Clubby's the person who coined the phrase Jar Jar Abrams.
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
you know,
a lot of
Gary
people have done
Roddick
the-
was saying it
people
on
picked
his
it up.
videos too. Gary
Yeah.
Roddick
They
was
have
saying it
actually
on.
done the research, searching even for how much it has been searched on Google, everything, and historically, it all starts with him.
Mm.
He is the source of Jar Jar
Yeah.
Abrams.
And he's the source of some channels too. I just saw that comment from Any Derivative Jill.
Oh yeah, we'll
Also,
highlight
I
it
mean-
one more time from Jill.
Yeah.
Let me get it.
Yeah,
She
please
wrote,
do
"My
that.
channel exists because of Clubby.
Yep.
I refuse to be on panels until he asked me to be on for Gene Roddenberry's 100th birthday. I never been on streams ever before. Gotta go now. Thank you guys. Hey, thanks for being here, Jill. Thanks for this awesome content. This once again showed you how contagious he was. Like seriously, the Kung Flu couldn't do the level of contagiousness that Clubby had on people. Whether it was
And-
being on a panel, creating a channel, getting to buy something, getting to read something, watch something. His effect was absolutely everlasting. It was absolutely everlasting.
Well, and the other person, Arwen Avalon. I think
Yeah.
I
Oh, I
you know
remember
her.
one, yeah.
She
Arwen?
first time I remember seeing her was in Clubby's Star Trek chats, and she kind of like that's kind of broke her out of her shell. Her husband had just passed away soon before that had happened, and she came on and she's very active in there, and she started going on other channels, and of course she's got her own, and she's been on she goes with she's on Loki's channel all the time, and I'm sure Loki and Clubby connection there. It's Clubby's been an influence on a lot of people out there in YouTube
Nikki,
land.
Oh, sorry. I have a bad habit, guys, of like checking the Roku and then there's a time lapse. So I try to focus on the laptop instead of the Roku.
No, you're good, man.
If I glance up, I mess up and I cut people off at the end. If Jill has already left, you take not only that right there, Nick and D-Bud, that's the influence that we were all talking about, right? Not only did he help her like that, he brought her in as part of the show.
Oh, we all got the Clubby pox. Oh, that's a good one. We all got the dude. Yeah, it's true though.
Well, yeah, and then he named her. He gave her a like an officer position on the show for the Star Trek communications officers, something like that.
Yeah.
Just
And I
to
remember
make
her
her feel
coming
welcome
on.
and bring her in.
All right. I haven't seen this guy comment since, and I'm just getting to it now. And I apologize if you're catching the replay or if you're still here. 1701 text says, "Thanks for doing the show, guys. A bunch of the gang and I are going to a con in Slidell tomorrow, and I know we're going to spend most of the time just talking about our fallen brother." Dude, yeah, I know. I hear that, man. I get it. Like that was I've heard he's told me some of the stories of him at cons, and those are always worth hearing. He always seemed to have a good time at cons. Than we did at his football games. I know he is very passionate about football. One time we ended up doing a football show. I think it was me, him, Stone Loki, and Lord Thoth. I think Mark D with a C as well. If you're out there, Mark or Loki or Thoth, correct me. But I feel like we were the five of us a part of that show because we were just like, hold up, we're into geek stuff and we like old school NFL. Let's get a show going. And we did. And I hate that we never followed up on it because we had a really good show on old NFL at the time. And it was great to like pick apart the knowledge. I remember him and I had our thing about the 85 Bears. He was so like adamant against them. And of course, that was like obviously from my area. So that was the team that I would have rooted for had I been alive. And I was a fan of those games watching, but he was not a fan of the 85 Bears. He was hated them, but I loved them. Oh man.
Oh yeah, I with Clubby on that because we're almost the same age. I'm just a couple of years older than Clubby, and so we had very similar knowledge of things like sports ball, as he would call it.
Yeah.
Similar eras. And all, of course, the TV shows and comic books that we read and shows we watched. So we had very similar things. He'd bring up some of that sports ball on his show, and he'd always apologize. Oh, I shouldn't be bringing up sports ball on Mark C Comic Stop night, or sometimes it was easier to do on Wild Card Wednesday. But he said, I know this is supposed to be geek stuff. I want to talk about sports ball. But you could get him going. It was hard to stop him.
Oh yeah, it was funny once he got going, and he apologized like, "We're not doing anything to stop you. You can keep going. We're just gonna listen. We're just gonna listen and be completely content about it." J-Man had a great comment before he left. I gotta get going. All great stream. Clubby will be missed. A heart is not judged by how much you love, but how much you are loved by others. Clubby was loved by many. Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Thank you, J-Man, and thanks for dropping in, dude. Have a great night and weekend, sir. Yeah. Oh, another thing, Clubby. I know we touched a little bit on it. I think Wednesday. Yeah. And anytime So Clubby had this really good talent of letting people speak and finish. However, only one thing would make him interrupt or cut someone off. It wasn't, once again, out of spite. Only one of two things. One was the correction if something was inaccurate. Fair enough. Two, if a lady popped in the chat. Always.
What do
And
you
I
say,
know
Nick?
you all, the panel.
He's a white knight.
All of you guys on the panel, I'm sure in that chat would know. You could all testify on that.
OS's
Wow.
wrench, I can tell you, he always, as soon as the lady popped up in the chat, he was on it.
Yeah, see,
Yes, he
you
was.
should, if anyone should know, it should at the very
yeah.
least be you. You of all people should know. It
No,
was.
I mean, Clubby called everybody out. His chat. He wanted to acknowledge every single person that showed up for his chats. He always at the end of the show would try to run down all the names that were in the chat that night.
Oh,
But
man.
boy,
He
whenever a lady showed up, he instantly called him out in the chat. Oh,
always had a-
like,
he always had a
Princess
way of-
Fiona, nice to see you here.
Oh yeah.
The thing that always
Penny,
stands out
of
to me
course.
is the way he would like say certain names, like the way, there was a showmanship to it with him where whenever anyone is, he's always had a way he would say your name. So, for example, for myself, he'd always be the Iron Caster.
Oh yeah. I remember there's a guy who used to look at our show way back in the day, like late 2020, early 2021. I remember he went by the name Dr. Hercule Monkey. I remember he's like, Dr. Hercule Monkey.
I remember the name.
Yeah.
No, he does that for Max Redstone all the time. And speaking of Brave and the Bold, which was my the Christmas thing, the Brave and the Bold one was my favorite one, and the Invasion of the Secret Santas. But he'll do that. The Music Meister, you guys know what I'm talking about, and he'll go on the Music Meister, Max Redstone.
Yeah, his introduction of names was absolute. And you know what? This is true. It's all he did it all with his voice. He was like a godfather of sorts. He had game. He had game, and he got a response with his game. And he was confident too. He was confident. That's the thing. I think that's what like really got the reaction. It's like he once again he oozed it. You felt the confidence pouring out from him. Like he wasn't shy, but he was still very cordial and civil about it simultaneously. How he could do that all in one package absolutely blew my damn mind. All right, so we got once again, Brad, he probably missed the memo. I'll let that slide. It says, "Evening, dude. I'm gonna send your. By the way, Brett, I'm gonna send your 5 to Clubby's fundraiser. Thank you though for the 5, but yeah, I'm gonna send it to his fundraiser because because I did write if I do get super chat, I'm just gonna send it to Clubby's fundraiser. But thank you for doing that, sir. I hope you're having a good night as well. We're gonna welcome to the show a very notable gentleman in the last year of our lives. Mr. Mohammed said, dude, thank you for joining in.
Good to meet you.
I know.
Mohammed.
He also
Nice
goes
to
by
meet you.
Conquest Ungilded for our
Good
gilded,
to meet you, dude.
our gilded community. This man had gone to Clubby. He had sounds like a few conversations with us on Fantastic Four, Fourth World, and it seems like he was going all in on the rings. But that's just my perspective of it. I want you, sir, to have the next few minutes to tell about your whole scenario with Clubby.
One thing I've always liked to do is ask him which commercial started in a comic. And each time I've done an update, I think the last one I did was, I think it was on J-Man's show when he was on there. And we were talking about issue 51, which I think DeMar was talking about earlier. This was the one issue, like normally I was hyped for to see Galactus, seeing his first appearance, see what it was like there. But 51 was amazing.
Oh, it's incredible.
Because you're in this journey with how the Thing was feeling about how he was. Like, all right, He gained all this super strength, but he wanted what everyone else had in some ways. But I've mostly enjoyed when the Yancey Street Gang and his the response to it, or sometimes when the Torch is always pulling some sort of prank on him.
Uh-huh.
But always hearing what Clubby had to say about the issue was always interesting to me, and it was fun because I get to know more about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For me, I think I felt like I went through 40 issues. Just every time I was looking forward to the next issue. I didn't know that the Inhumans were being introduced in the Fantastic Four issue, like the Frightful Four, and you think of, and like in each one of them, they give you a little tidbit, but then I didn't realize how it all came together. And before I knew it, I was just at issue 51, and I just wanted to keep going.
So that's what we've been talking about, right?
That's the beauty of it all, man.
That's his influence. That's the influence, right?
And I always like to put it out on Twitter, like every time. And I was always amazed about, like, whether it be the art or the character development about the comics, and always hearing the information from Clubby about, like, I end up appreciating Silver and Bronze Age to the point that people in the Neurotics server say, "Hey, I know you read Silver and Age, Bronze Age." Which I'm like, I don't know that much. There's one person that knows it better than I do, and I'm just gotten into it. And it's always fun watching you guys, and I've always tried to catch Clubby stream as much as I can. But it's always either on a work night or just happen to wake up early in the morning. But it was worth it because I got to hear different talk about like I think the Legion. I caught one of the J-Man's Monday streams for the Legion. And he would ask whether I would want to read this or read it from the beginning. I wanted to read it from the beginning because, I like that the comics were always taking themselves too serious too much. And that was a fun part of it. And I like the covers. Some covers for the comics, especially the Legion one, where they kind of tricked you, where he's like, "No, you didn't make it into the Legion." And that one was always fun. But I always like, whenever we were talking about which comic to start, he always mentioned, "I don't like the 90s." If I was talking about, talking about Batman's back being broken. And
I was with Clubby on that.
T-Bud should know more about that.
And you know what? When the more I thought about it, and I had a conversation with my friends, like, you know what, he's right, because everyone wanted to do what Death of Superman or Breaking Someone Back, and it started becoming too predictable. But like comic issues that are always special, I always loved getting into the comics, and I didn't like the Silver and Bronze Age one. But man, the Jack Kirby ones are always special because I've always wanted to read as much as I can possibly. I might, doesn't matter if I read like the 80s X-Men, I always had to go right back to Fantastic Four, or whether it was the Fourth World. Because I always thought like characters like Darkseid was always interesting.
Interesting character.
Yes.
Yeah, and I didn't realize how each one connected, and it didn't have to be called a special event or a crossover. It was just something that happened, and you just were on along for the ride. And I could imagine like the back and forth of who's the best character, who's that. I think I like the Thing because his character was always interesting. Everyone else was being serious, doing all that, and you always go on my old Aunt Petunia. It's and whenever you're sharing,
He's your average dude. You just had to love him for that.
Oh, I'm thankful for Nick and Clubby for getting me into it.
Oh,
Because
dude, I would do it all over again, man. I not one moment I was like, oh man, what do we do game? No, I'm proud of what we did getting you going. The fact that you were like constantly going back, like, dude, I just read this. I was like, yes. I felt excited knowing that you were continuing. That was like that to me was the most rewarding part. You were continuing. You were committed to the journey, and you were blazing through it. Like for me, my pace of Ring is like the length of like 5 Muller videos. But man, you blazed through these things like you blazed through 30 Razor Fist rants. It was incredible to see that.
I think at one point I just saw how many posts I was putting back to back because I just kept on wanting to go because it's always that one at the last panel at the end that you're reading in the issue, and you're like thinking, I wonder what's going to happen. And then the covers were saying something. I'm like, how is Dr. Doom going to do this time? Or like, and the one issues, the one-offs where you see different villains, and you're like, I wonder how this is going to work out.
Speaking of villains, and really quickly, I saw Jackknife and Chris Fashion. The Friday Nights brought you here. Thank you, Friday Nights. I'm assuming Jason Sandberg may have had a part in that. Hope you're well, buddy. I look forward to Jupiter #2 when it happens. I know Clubby and I had conversations about looking forward to that Jupiter follow-up. So it's unfortunately he'll never be able to read that comic. We would love to have us all to have him been here for when that would have inevitably come out and talked about. So thank you, Jason, Chris, Jack, and everyone else. And D-Bud, guys, we're gonna have fun with this. I love what we can all talk about the absolute cheesiest, dumbest looking, worst of the worst villains, but yet those are the characters we cherish how ridiculous they all were. Like whether it was Fancy Dan, the Condor, the Iguana.
This is the Clockman.
They're ridiculous. The Condor is not ridiculous.
No, he's one of the greatest villains of all time.
I'm still building my Condiment King here. I gotta get 2 more figures. I got Condiment King. I need his legs and I need his pack.
Where's his ass?
Before I can put. Well, he's kind of
put like a ketchup packet under that.
Yeah. So I'm building my Condiment King, and before you know it, I'm gonna have a Condiment King. One day I'm gonna have a Kite Man. It's gonna be a glorious time having all these. Seriously, like one day, like maybe Hot Toys out there listening, which they're not, but I'm being wishful thinking. Hot Toys, if you really care about the good things in life, now that Arnold Conan movie said what is best in life about crushing your enemies, but that's the second best thing. Truly, the best thing is having a Condor Hot Toy. That's even better than crushing your enemies. Seeing them driven before you and
in like 1/4 scale, though, Nick.
Dude,
an original costume with the best fro you will ever see.
Oh,
can you imagine? Yes. Can you imagine in 1/4 scale?
Oh, I'd love it.
With a sound chip in it where he rants about how he's going to be the greatest villain of all time, the Crime King.
Some characters some villains are always interesting.
I love having those talks about all the ridiculous villains. I remember I was like, dude, I got the first appearance of Slide.
Good night,
you're still looking for that first appearance of Turner D Century.
Oh, dude.
I'm trying to remember. I remember the villain was it Merlin? I was like surprising. How are they going to pull this one off?
Oh, I remember him.
Now what was Clubby's?
Thanks for being here, 1701 Tex. Thank you. Cheers and have a great night, weekend, sir. Yeah. And RIP to our friend Clubby. Yes. Thank you. Oh, go ahead, Conquest. You're saying about Merlin again?
Yeah, because I was always figuring how would pull this one off. Like you're thinking, okay, you're thinking whatever this fiction, whether it was a movie like Excalibur or something like that, you think he's wise, you think he's good. And the way they were able to flip that around was just awesome. Like I was like, they made him like he's the very evil guy who's just trying to take advantage of where the most powerful person, and is trying to be like trying to be the power behind the throne or something like that. And I always like that thing. Whenever he sees a villain, he always likes to go head first. Whether it was just Galactus could have been just looking at him, try to take a swing at him.
Yeah.
And I think the issue I was trying to read next was one where the Black Panther was covered.
Yeah.
Oh, his
I like
introduction.
His introduction issue.
Let me
Yeah.
pull that back. I'm reaching for it now.
Yeah, reach for it. Let's zoom in on it again. Dig.
Oh.
Dude. Oh.
So Muhammad, I was just telling the guys the
Nice.
influence. So I had this long time ago before I met Nick and Ironcaster and Pablo and obviously Clubby and Mark and he was like, Clubby was like, you're gonna go buy that. I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And I did.
And those covers, especially the way they drew the villain, you're like looking over Black Panther and you're seeing how it looks like it's coming at you. And I always like those kind of covers.
They were really striking, memorable covers. They were very memorable covers. You saw them.
They were
and
alive.
It got glued in your head as soon as you saw it. They were, as I know it's a cliche term, but because it's relevant, we're going to utter it. It was iconic. That's what iconic
That's what
covers
I'm
are supposed
thinking,
to
Nick.
do.
I mean, that's exactly what we're all thinking, right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's nostalgia and it's iconic.
That's what it's supposed to. A good cover. You're supposed to actually see. Comics is that medium where you're supposed to kind of judge it by its cover, because that cover is the thing that's supposed to grab you in to want to look into the interiors and see what's going on. So yeah, you can make the argument about a chapter book. Sure, okay, great, awesome. But as far as comic books, that cover needs to be the thing because if that cover doesn't look good, you're not going to feel enticed to read it. You're not going to it's going to, unless you're so 100 issues invested in something and then you see a bad cover, well, you're already invested. So, but if you're so who looking to get into comics, you're looking at the cover. You can't tell me when you got your first, and this goes for the whole panel for anyone into comics in the chat. There's always a cover that grabs us. We're saying, what's that? I got to read that.
Yep.
Okay, what's going on here?
Yep. But there's the magic that they used to have on Silver and Golden Age, that each cover was a story on itself. A lot of times it was misleading, but it was actually pointed you to something really interesting and you are really hooked. And then you read the book and the book is really good. It's just not about that. Or some of the position of the characters change, or it doesn't matter because you already saw the cover. You already understood everything you needed to understand about the cover. And you are in. It's part of the comic. It's the first page.
Part of the experience.
Yeah. And nowadays, it's a bit boring. It's just a good pin-up of the character or something that looks pretty. But Superman being an asshole.
No. Super dickery.
Yes.
No. Hold that thought about Superman, because that reminds me of something about Clubby that I'm just mad he was not around for, even though it was literally not his fault. But I want to bring up. But we're an hour 23 minutes of the show. We got almost 40 people in here. Which, by the way, chat, thank you for being here. The few super chats I got tonight will be absolutely directly sent to Clubby's fundraiser tonight, even though he exceeded the goal, whatever we get. And I'm not telling you to super chat me. I posted a link in the pinned comments to somebody to him, but if in case you make the mistake of saying it to me, I'm just going to revert back to him. This one's to our friend, guys. If you're a drink in the chat, if you're straight edge, that's cool too. Yeah, if you got a water, if you got them, thank you guys. Seriously, guys, this is to our friend, to Clubby.
Thank you, Clubby.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, delicious. So, okay, last Saturday, I know we covered earlier about when I said you're gonna hit 2K you're next, all that stuff. So that Saturday morning, I went to the Dallas Fan Expo, and I came across this guy walking around who had a giant billboard walk around, and it said, "I am tired of the evil Superman trope." And I saw that guy. I pointed him out. I high-fived them. I said, "You are the man for that sign." I was just like, "Where is Clubby when I need him most?" Give Clubby a mic right now, right here. We could have had a conversation. We could have done a live stream right from Dallas Fan Expo, right then and there, about
Wait,
it.
I was having a fight about that on Sunday.
Oh,
with a friend.
good.
Because he's all happy about the new shows that are coming out and everything, and I'm like, it's all garbage. It's all Superman is evil. And he's like, no, but they are showing so much gore on the boys, and I'm like, so it's still a dick show.
It really is.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. So I got a question, Nick, for everybody before I forget. So we should all know this, right? And I think I know. But it's really hard to ask, especially when you're in there. People say things like, "Do we lose Nick?" Oh no, he's behind the chat.
I'm just no. I put Muhammad up there. I'm at the bottom.
And another thing I was
irrelevant.
going to
I'm irrelevant. So.
mention, Clubby would always answer questions or try to answer questions. And Muhammad always ask questions, and you could always come back to him, and that we would love him for all that. And then it's like, so all right, what are we gonna say is Clubby's at least his number 1, number 2, or number 3 covers of all time? And Ironcast has already got a grid because he's thinking about it. It's got to be the Fantastic Four one, D-Bud, right? One of those, or
his
Silver
number one
Surfer.
is
I know he liked the
Fantastic
one
Four
with the
51.
Galactus.
51, yeah. Oh god, by a landslide.
Yes,
51,
not even
which
by a
one
close.
is it?
landslide. 51.
51. Yeah, and I think the this one I showed earlier. This is this is in his top 3, I believe, because it's just another great Thing cover.
Oh, it's so
and
good.
I often see him using this picture in his thumbnails and such. But this is one of his top 3 for sure.
Definitely.
51.
I don't even know.
No question.
Well,
is number 1. Yeah,
definitely.
All right.
You don't think the Galactus Silver Surfer one, guys? You guys know the number better than I do. Is maybe that's Mark's. I might be getting a little confused.
Oh man, Mark. Mark's at a wedding for the weekend. Otherwise, he would be here. And obviously, Raquel's got her situation. She has a link if the weather clears up. Otherwise, if you're listening, Raquel, hopefully everything literally blows over. Even if you don't make it to tonight, I know you're out there. You, Andy, family. I know you guys would be supporting the show if you could. Mars had a great comment here. Said, I used to love watching when Mark would receive his new comics and want to show them. Mark would get nervous and call me back, hey, that cover. Or no, I actually like that one. Yeah.
He's trying to tell Mark, why are you buying that?
Yeah.
Why
are you getting new
comics?
Oh yeah.
Okay, you just fire a memory, and this is old school. I think beginnings of the show, beginnings of. I wanted to buy a Stan Lee figure, and Clubby actually talked me. I don't know if he tried or if he succeeded talking me out of buying the Stan Lee figure. Because it's just Stanley.
So I was at a few days ago. I got word from a friend of mine that he was at a Target in the area, and he saw the NECA TMNT Jack Kirby figure. And I'm like, what? That's being made finally. I had finally had one shipped to me. And I was gonna send it to Clubby. No, I'm not. And I think it's supposed to come in tomorrow. but
Oh,
Display it, man.
hate it because I was gonna
Display
give
it,
it to
yeah.
him. No, I'll display it. It's gonna stay here. But man, I was so ready to give that to him because I remember when I told him that apparently originally Eastman and Laird almost had a fifth turtle and they were gonna name it Kirby because Eastman and Laird were huge Jack Kirby fans. Oh man, and I know he would have he would have been like, "Why are you shipping me?" I was going like, I wasn't gonna tell him I was gonna ship it. I was gonna just go through Raquel. I was just gonna go through her, and then we yelled at him even more for that. Why'd you go? It reminds you of the time. Okay, before I highlight the member chat, it was last year. I can't remember if I got a message from Mark or Raquel, and one of them asked me, "Hey, what are you doing after Comics and Visions Thursday Night Throwdown?" I'm like, "Nothing going on." And in my head, I kind of this one of the rare times where I kind of wasn't completely telling the truth. So, Mark, if you're out there listening, sorry, this was kind of a lie. I was actually supposed to go to bed. Actually, I was actually supposed to go to bed, but I didn't want. It didn't sound cool to say that. So they're like, "Hey, it's Clubby's birthday." I was like, in my head, I'm like, I can't not show up. I'm like, in my head, it drove me crazy. I'm like, this man didn't have the audacity to tell me it was his birthday. I'm so glad Raquel knew. So that's when I told Comics in our private chat. I told Comics and the guys, I'm like, guys, Clubby didn't tell anyone at all, but luckily Raquel's awesome. It was either her or Mark. One of them told me that it's his birthday. I want us to send a raid after TNT to his show. And I'm going to pop on stream. And that's when I'm like, I had work at 7 a.m., but fuck it. I'm getting drunk anyways for Bobby's birthday. Because I knew he didn't drink. So I'm like, I'm just going to do it for him. I will balance the equation of the earth for him. And I was like, I have to do it now. Fuck it. Whatever. I'll figure it out. And I showed up on the stream, and I remember he had like a show. He usually had like a good, steady 30, 35 people. We ended up going to like 50, 55 or 60 people. So I was like, hell yeah, I got a good rate. And the money was flowing in for him. And he was just like, why are you doing this? Why? You guys are nuts. I was just like, he's like, what's going on here? I was like, hey, happy birthday, man. He's just like, you weren't supposed to know that.
He hated that. He hated when people send him money on his birthday.
I know. I was just like,
and then the more he said it, the more people sent money in.
Yeah, he hated even getting super chats. You know, he
didn't want. He didn't want to activate monetization.
Yeah.
Raquel.
Yeah, he had to be
about how she had to convince him for like a year.
Yeah, I think Six was pushing him too.
He was doing incredible for a channel that is not monetized. He was doing incredible numbers with the Star Trek show on Saturdays, and he just didn't want it. He refused.
He refused it. No, she told about it the other day, Tuesday or Wednesday, and she just went on and on that she had to just vehemently.
He was angry at the mention
and make him do it.
There were people, and I was looking, at least for the original series, I was looking always, because I had my opinions on the rest of Star Trek, because no, I will give it a chance. I will watch up to Enterprise, because Clubby had a few words saying that each series had something good, so I will give them a chance. But I had my opinions on them. It's not the Star Trek, right?
Well, if you heard him talk about Strange New Worlds, Diva, and everybody who's been in the Star Trek, he made up a new moniker, Strangle. Is it Strangle Nude Worm?
That's the point. That's not the Star Trek. That's the Star Trek.
Star Trek. Yeah.
It's Star Trek.
Fake Treks. Fake Trek. You're like
the
film. The film.
Muhammad, I think.
The film. Yeah, the film.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, the film.
You would never ever have seen Clubby rant before. Like he's never ranted. Maybe you get really emotional sometimes about comics when you and Ironcaster pop on the Friday night show. and then, but holy crap, man, he went off on this show, one of the shows, I think it's Voyager or something like that. He calls it the show that doesn't exist. I mean, the episode that doesn't even exist. And it was, I mean, it was amazing. I was like standing, I was like, girl, go, man. Fucking go, dude. I don't even watch that show that much, the Saturday night
Wesley
one.
show up in that
I went
episode
and
in
bought,
some way?
I went and bought the whole series because I used to watch it with my stepdad. I got the one that does the original and the new ones, and you can put them back to back just because of that freaking Saturday night show. And if you've never seen that man rant before, go back and ask Raquel and Mark what show that was, and it was epic.
Here's rants.
Epic.
Clubby's rants to me was among the pantheon of rants. There was Clubby, Mexican Iron Man, and Razor Fist. Those are my three.
Oh, God.
That's a pantheon right there of rants, right there. It's almost a good thing those three never end up in the same room because who knows? I don't think the Earth's gravity. I think they would straight up break gravity if those three were in the same room. Yeah, and yes, I'd say Az would be a runner-up. Az would be a good, strong, because especially his rant on Star whatever. The problem,
Starfield.
and I know a lot of people gave Az crap for overreacting. Here's the problem with that. He was right. Whether you agreed, whether you think he overreacted or not, is neither here nor there. You know why? When those people said it's not a big deal, they're still going after him almost a year later. He proved them right.
The only issue,
whether you agree he overreacted or not relevant. He proved them right.
The only issue with Az's rants is that he's a bit more dispersed. Clubby was laser focused.
Oh yeah, and yeah. I would actually say especially if you got Tom on like the Ninja Turtles, I would say Tom was definitely up there with Az. I'd say Tom was definitely up there with Az. Definitely RJ Godzilla, definitely up there. I got highlight a few things.
Sorry, you felt like the rare rant too, but because the more I've understood people when they're in the doing that, and I'm thinking to myself, and you look at things slightly different. You're like, maybe I should look back and figure out what they're like. Voyager, I agree. Like after I watched William Shatner's Star Trek. Anything that came after that, I was like, I didn't really like Take Two Next Generation,
right?
Yeah, well, and it took some
you understand me.
There's Pablo,
and you're letting these guys take your ship. If I remember correctly, Kirk blew up his ship as soon as those Klingons just went on there.
Yep,
and I'm like, what is you're supposed to be peace? I'm like.
It was a beautiful payback to the series because on the series he actually used the scare tactic of I'm using the self-destruct code.
Self-destruct, yeah.
So when he finally uses the self-destruct code, it's just a wonderful payback for all that time where we thought it was actually a joke and it didn't even exist because Kirk is a bit of an asshole, a tactical asshole, but an asshole. And then you go into the movie and you finally see it working and you're like, oh shit. He was playing, but he was playing with actual fire.
Yeah, he blew it up. He really blew it up. And then there was a Statue of Liberty in front of him.
You maniacs!
Classic. Oh, by the way, Nick, you got still have that poster to put up, man.
Oh, dude, I'm hoping by Monday I've got a slew of stuff because I did some moderations to the wall a few weeks ago and then I followed back up on it. But now that I've got the stuff lined up on the other side of this room, I'm finally gonna get to us. Oh, I found the beer horn, by the way. I found it
tomorrow.
Tomorrow. I found it yesterday.
And I know we're not plugging, but for tomorrow for you, man. That's and. You know, I think we should all. By the way, thanks for doing this tonight, Nick.
Oh, dude,
Pablo, B-Bud, and everybody.
You're
a good dude for doing it.
It was a no-brainer. I'm sure Pablo and Fenrir and Kasser as soon as they knew the news, there was no way we could have not done the show for our friend. I mean, Clubby, like
You had to, right?
We had to.
You have
and
to.
we can't just not do the
we had
show. It was something that we didn't even have the discussion. I just said, guys, we're doing this, and here we are being here talking about it. There was no, I'm not sure, should we do it? No, it was, we're doing this, and the quote about it's what he would have wanted. You can make an argument that whether it is or isn't our views. As someone who has strained with them, talked to them behind the scenes,
Hundreds of
hours, hundreds of hours, thousands of hours, probably. I literally know for a fact he straight up would have wanted us to have kept this going.
Not only that,
I dare anyone to challenge me otherwise on that, on the planet Earth, alive or dead.
Not only that,
But,
Nick,
Casper,
he would do the exact same thing for anyone else.
oh yeah, without question.
Yeah.
He already did.
Question.
His,
Yeah, he already did.
Mark C.
Mark C.
On that show.
on Mondays. That was from Mark. It's
So,
always going to be Mark C.
It's always from Mark every Monday, right, T-Bud?
Yep. Yes.
Not just the one or two times, every time.
Every Monday, forever known as Mark C. Comic Stop.
So I'm gonna
He's
highlight
emphatic about that.
I got a few things to highlight here. Because Christian Delorme here says he's been a member for 9 months. Thank you, bud. So one for Clubby. A woman has to do why grown men read comic books. The dude replies, same reason you wear makeup to escape reality.
Well, unless you're reading Power Girl.
That is such a
And
great
the covers
toxic
are great.
man, Tom and Christian. I love you, man. Do shoot me a text. I gotta tell you about my Boston record thoughts. I've listened to it a few times now, so we gotta talk about that. Jeremy Winfield comes with a $2, and I just so you know, Jeremy, I'm gonna send that straight to Clubby, so that's not $12 I gotta send to him. Clubby is my comic rep on Midnight's Edge. You too, Nick. And thank you for that, but let's be real here. Sure, if a comic, let's just say a normie saw me on the streets, he'd probably be blown away by my knowledge. Sure. But if you put me and Clive in the same route, he would run circles around me. It's not even close. And I have no shame conceding that. That's just
I know what you mean.
life.
How do you think I feel with you guys?
Yeah. Hey, like I was saying earlier, I owned a comic book store for 10 years. I was buying comics before Clubby was, years before Clubby.
Yeah.
No, I had nowhere near the knowledge he had at this stuff.
Yeah.
None.
So
He's
the
light
man
years
has
ahead of me.
forgotten more about comics than we will ever know in our lives.
and that's true.
Yep.
And Fenrir and Pablo and I and Casser, don't let anybody fool you. You guys know your shit too, man. And Muhammad does too. And one of the things Clubby was so good about that he tried his best. And Muhammad, you might not know it. You might have seen me around, but I've seen you around for quite a while, especially over on Clubby's channel. He tried to answer all the questions. That's how he knew. That's how I started that whole conversation with him with the Batman 227. And I know Muhammad would ask him questions or bring up something, and he would try his best. Raquel and Mark would help him out with that, and then he would go right to it and try to answer it, no matter what it was. You know, that's what he was so good with.
Even when he didn't know the answer, he will start. There was times where I will ask who was inking this or who was penciling this, and he will just pause for a second, say that he didn't know, and a couple of minutes later, he had the answer.
Oh yeah, always. He knew how to make time for the people.
And he knew his sources too. I mean, there's several websites that I wasn't aware of that I learned about from Clubby.
That's the one I was saying. Like he would pull the whole panel of T-Bud of all those comics and stuff.
Yeah, the
right? He
Time
would show
Machine.
us that.
Yes, that's fantastic. Learned about that site from him. And anybody that loves comic books needs to go to that site.
It was not only
fantastic.
comic books, orders of episodes for The Prisoner, for Star Trek, for League 7, for Babylon 5.
Oh yeah, there was all sorts of other things. He steered me towards other websites too on things like that.
Yeah.
Well.
Didn't he have the show, guys? It just popped. He had the spinner rack show as well before he was with the other guys, right? And
was
he
doing
would
the
just do it was
shorts
kind
on
of like a
those.
wild card Wednesday, right? But he would
It's shorts. He
specifically
did shorts on them.
he did shorts
then,
on. Okay.
Yeah, and then he only did that for a while, and then he would just kind of randomly do it, usually on the Mark C night, and he'd run through. He'd pick a month, or he'd ask the audience just pick a year, and I'll go to this same month in that year, and he'd just run through all the comics that were on sale that month.
How good?
Oh,
is
it's
that?
very nostalgic. I'll say that, because a lot of times it was
that's-
years when I was buying books.
Well,
Even
these
some of the
guys
older
right here.
ones.
You want
All
to
right.
use the word nostalgic? That's me. That's
I've got
that's
some
why-
comments to blaze through. And we'll carry on. Mars Monkey Max said Clubby tells a story about a guy whose son died. He sent comics to Clubby's house with a letter. Clubby drove to that guy's house and said, "No, these are your memories of your son." Holy shit! That's the thing. I can hear it. I can imagine the scenario playing out. Once again, no pun intended. Page for page, because he absolutely would do that.
Clubby's son actually took the same attitude towards Clubby's collection. He is either giving it away, but I was saying on the chat he should read a lot of the issues because Clubby had them for a reason. It was not only just for him. He wanted more people to read them. He was keeping them safe.
I had countless people either go to him and he would relay it to me, or they went straight to me, which that was absolutely asinine, and say, I got back into reading Clubby or being on a comic shop show, hearing you guys talk about it. It was awesome to hear people getting back into the medium because of that. That was cool that we could get people. And I remember there's people like TZ Burton who know nothing about comics.
Oh my
Listen
God,
to our
yes.
show just to hear our show talk about it. Guys like that. I thought, wow, we're actually doing our job here. People who know nothing about it are still here just to listen to us talk about it. That's everything. That's straight up everything. Because that's ultimately at the end of the day, the people you do want to reach is people who could have an accessible entry into this medium where they feel like they can understand the show, even if they don't aren't as invested, but they have an idea about it and they feel like they can now get invested. Guys like TZ Burton did, straight up. Kingsport Cal, how's it going, buddy? I didn't know Clubby that well. It was hard for me to understand him. He's like a cool dude. No, he was. I remember he was always happy when he could see anyone show up at a show, and he was always happy when people could just be around to just listen and talk about comics. And I know you know the medium too. You've shared some knowledge in your chat comments, and we love seeing that. We love seeing that, and going forward, I hope to see even more from you, man. Dark Shadow Logan, what's up, buddy? Because I think Clubby would have wanted to keep going. Dude, and we will. And because of that, we're gonna be announcing kind of a little something in a few minutes as well about that. And Jeremy, I love how. Dude, that it's just the truth. Clubby runs circles around me. He could do a few laps around me. I'll double down on this. He could probably do a few 3-mile runs over me.
He's the Conan of humbleness.
Oh, dude. But it's true. I'm just being honest. That's all. I'm just being honest. But him and I could still have a pro conversation. At least I can feel like I can have that conversation with him. I don't feel like I was getting totally mollywopped. And Volume Dealer says, has anyone read Ain't No Grave? I've read number 1. I have yet to read number 2. Keep your eyes and ears open. Maybe I'll have an opinion on that next week on issue number 2, buddy. All right. Thank you, Ain't No Grave. All right, guys. I got to check on some real quick. Carry the show. It'll be about 2 minutes.
So, I don't know about you guys, but I think one of the things I'm going to do this weekend to remember Clubby, there's 2 particular movies I'm going to try to watch this weekend to remember him. And I think you guys already know what I'm going to say before
I might know one of them, but I'm not going to say.
Yeah, I think I can identify at least one of them.
Superman movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
Christopher.
No, start with an
And
S.
that original Fantastic Four film about the OG one, the one that was kind of crap.
The
That was
90s?
what I was thinking of.
Yep.
Yeah, the
The
90s
Donner
one.
cut.
Didn't he had a physical copy of that, right?
What's the
I
second one?
think
What's
he
the
did.
second one?
There's bootlegs out there of it.
Ironcastle, what's
he
the
probably
second
did.
one?
Okay, the second one is of course going to be Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Okay, that's the Star Trek one. I was gonna. You beat me with the Superman one.
What about
Like,
The Empire Strikes Back?
I do have a question though.
Oh,
Which one? Because like it took me
T-Bud over Star Trek though, man.
Yeah.
No, that was when he did a rundown of his favorite films. That was actually his number one. Superman, I think, was number 2.
Wow.
I didn't remember that. I at least remembered like Star Trek 2 and I remember Superman. So it's like those two we just like cemented in.
Yeah. Those were in his top 5, definitely.
But I was always curious, like, because I met you in chats and stuff like that, and then slowly, maybe I think we even streamed once or twice, and then you had mentioned you'd known him before. How did you guys know each other?
No.
For everybody.
No, I didn't know, but I mean, I might as well have, because we were in the we were close to the same age. We were in the comic store business in the same era. I had my stores from 86 to 96. He was working as early as I think 82 in comic book stores before he had his own later on as Mega City Comics. But we just knew so much of that era. I mean, we were so familiar with the comics of that time and the comic book business at that time. I mean, we didn't. I'd never met him. I didn't know him before the show, but boy, we knew so much. There was so much in common as far as our knowledge of that time period.
Oh, yeah, and obviously all of us know here, and maybe Muhammad. I don't know if you know D-Buddy. I know you know each other through chats and stuff like that. I know that, and I've only met like you a couple of times, and then you started just whipping out comic. It was just amazing. I was like, geez, another guy who's getting ready to crush me in a conversation. I'm just going to sit here and be quiet and just watch.
Yeah, I wish I had my own collection.
Oh, dude, we know what kind of collection you got sitting around you right now, dude.
Well,
you're a humble dude too, and don't you lie to everybody. You got tons of really, really good stuff back there.
I have one small box of stuff of like Silver Age things other than Iron Man, because I have that whole collection. But I mean, I really love hearing Muhammad talk about the books that he's reading.
Oh, dude,
he's reading Journey into Mystery and of course Fantastic Four. Now, have you read, Muhammad? Have you read the original X-Men? The first?
Yeah, I've read a bit
that Kirby did. Yeah. How about? Did you read Challengers of the Unknown? Which was what Kirby.
I would love to add that to my list if I have.
You should. I mean, it's not a lot that he did, but he did that at DC. It was like the last thing he did before he went to Marvel. There is, I believe it's issue number 3. That is, because they were sort of proto Fantastic Four in general, but that particular issue it's practically the Fantastic Four's origin story, where one of the challengers goes up in space and comes back with superpowers that are very similar to the Fantastic Fours. So you really need to read that one.
I definitely like to hear more. Like those ones, like comics I have not really read before. I read like the horror short stories they used to do. Like
in like Tales of Suspense and Tales to Astonish that they did before they became hero books. Now, Kirby invented another genre of comics. I don't know if you've read any of these, probably not. But I thought I'd fish one of these books out.
Oh, dude,
nice.
But there's a couple of volumes of this. These are all Jack Kirby romance comics.
I didn't know he read like romance comics. That's nice.
Well, he invented them. He invented them. These are the first romance comics that were made, and Jack Kirby was the one that did it with Joe Simon. I mean, they were doing these, but these are all romance comics. This is little hardcover collection they did, a couple volumes. They're just some random stories of his romance comics. But I'm like, Jack Kirby, hell yeah, I'll get it. I don't care if they're romance comics. You know, Clubby would go through those, like the time machine stuff, and he'd run through all the books and say, oh, which ones would you get? And I'd say, I'd buy all these romance comics because they had artists like John Romita and John Buscema and Gene Colan.
Didn't he collaborate on some of the Western ones as well?
Oh,
and
yes.
Stuff like that?
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
And Clubby is the one, and you and J-Man, those are the guys, and you would point that stuff out. That he did all that.
He did a lot of that was all before Fantastic Four. He did a bunch of westerns, Ride Kid, Two Gun Kid.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on the Kid Colt, Outlaw. And he did like the earliest issues of all those. It's all Kirby work. And yeah, I love it. I got they did Masterworks on some of those, and I picked all those up. I wish they'd have done more. They did. I was hoping they would get to the Strange Tales. They were doing those in Masterworks, the pre-Thor, pre-Human Torch ones, and then also Journey into Mystery. They were doing the pre-Thor issues that were all like the horror science fiction type short stories they were doing, and Kirby did a lot of those. And I was hoping to pick those up, but they stopped that series. But they did do all the Tales of Suspense and Tales to Astonish. But it's all beautiful work, and there's a lot of Ditko in those as well. That early Ditko, that's fantastic stuff too. I don't know if you're a big Ditko fan, but yeah, that stuff's all worth picking up because it's those two guys. It's fantastic art, and the stories are good. But like, I'd encourage you to get those westerns and even maybe pick up these romance books because it's Jack Kirby.
And D-Bud and Muhammad, I wouldn't even known of that if it wasn't for Club.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that brought that out for people.
Like I've read maybe like when I was trying to read Spider-Man for the first time for the beginning. So I think I've read up to when Crime Master was around, like the stories. And I used to think like the way Spider-Man was being drawn, and like it was always nice. The colors, everything was like that. And I've always enjoyed the first one because you kind of saw him briefly in Fantastic Four issue and going around. I like the rivalry of him and the Torch.
And the Torch, yeah.
Anytime they see each other.
Yeah, I love that relationship they had, or they did the Marvel team up book. I was upset when they stopped the first 3 issues. It was the Torch and Spider-Man, and I was hoping that was going to continue, and they'd become, it'd be a buddy book, and like Peter would reveal his identity to Johnny at some point, and they'd just be like the best friends in comics, and didn't happen, damn it.
So, just so you guys know, there is a vote in the chat. So, in case you haven't figured out, tonight's episode, aka number 147, issue number 147, is the very last episode by name of the Comic Shop Talk. We have left it to a vote on what we would like to rename it going forward. There was in the chat under the poll, there's Clobberin Times Talk, Clobberin Times Comic Talk, or simply put, Clobby's Comic Shop or other. There's so far 17 votes right now. I would like to get as many votes. I'll keep this going for a bit. I'm just letting you guys know. Please, Clobbionics. That's actually really good. That's Clobbionics. That's actually really good.
That is pretty good.
So,
yeah.
Cast your votes, and when I feel like, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 votes, we'll call it a vote, literally. And
I put other, and I threw in the chat, Nick. It's Clobberin time. Just
Clobberin time.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Already put it upside.
Yeah,
It's
comic time.
Get on the Roku TV.
So
sorry.
No, you're good, man. You're good. No, it's just keep your votes swinging, guys. Okay, just I want to make sure that we get the voices heard. So next week will be issue number 1 of whatever the new title will be. All right, so this will be Uncanny to the CS. Yes, this is basically this is us moving over doing that. If you want to look at it like that, this is Amazing Spider-Man also having Spectacular Spider-Man. However you want to look at it, Superman Action Comics, Batman to Detective Comics. It's definitely one of those things.
And by the way, Nick, for everybody to know, I've been constantly in touch with Nick about crazy stuff when I was telling you all about the bids and stuff like that. ASM, what was it? Was it 21 as well? The 100, Nick, that I showed you? ASM?
It was. Yeah, dude. I remember you sent me a photo. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, I sent him a photo that the bid was like 2,400 something, and it went for 6,000 plus. And number 50, by the way, was in shit condition.
Oh,
yeah,
that's going to spike the prices
it's
of the
probably like a 4 or
one.
5 in the whole, but just because it was a straight run, 6,000 plus, man. Yeah. So let me tell you, these old comics, and people can talk all this shit about us and nerds and geeks, and I tell them, go fuck yourself. This is better than gold.
Agreed.
And this is one of the things that Ironcaster and Pablo and Fenrir, although we haven't talked that much Fenrir here and there, Fenrir knows his stuff too. And
thanks, man.
I
wish to talk more with you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And Nick and Ironcaster and Pablo especially know me. It's nostalgia, man. It's a motherfucker. God Almighty.
You don't want to know how much I paid for that run of comics.
Okay, there's 2 ways that something that is for nerds becomes really pricey. One is nostalgia. Nostalgia, sorry, I used the Spanish pronunciation. I'm a bit wrong.
Un poquito, eh?
Yeah. Así pasa, hermano.
We'll let it slide tonight.
Nihongo mo hanashimasu kara kankenaya. Sorry about kankenaya. Anyway, the other one is that you want to beat somebody so bad that you are willing to fork money. And I saw yesterday that working on action, because there was people trading cards that are $74 and they were buying it on the spot. It was just like, here's the money, because it was an event. We were cracking packs, so we were opening cards, and it was absolutely ridiculous, the amount of money that moves just because you want to sit in the table with your friend and say, haha, I won you on turn 1.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ironcaster can tell us about how much those old mechs and stuff, probably those old Gundams, especially some of the rare ones. I mean, if you can get a hold of some of the ones that in those circles are very valuable, they're still valuable.
I mean, it's crazy. Some of the tie-ins you'll find, like there'll be like 7-Eleven Gundams, and I think there's an Optimus Prime they put out. I know there's definitely a Zaku. I wonder if I can probably find one of these. But actually, I do have one thing I wanted to show, and this was kind of like very much up the alley of a lot of the stuff we like to talk about here on the channel. And I'm totally stealing this from my buddy T-Shirt Historian, who I told send this to Nick. He needs to see this. It's a little place down in Texas.
Oh, no way.
Nice.
Conan's Pizza.
No. Oh,
cool.
Nice.
By Crom.
Nice.
Wow.
So cool, man.
We must make the holy pilgrimage.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Where's Conan in the chat? Is he still here? She, whoever, is Conan still here?
Conan, Sumerian, you miss your wave, man.
Oh, flipping out right now. You see this.
Does Andre know about this?
You have to clip this, Nick.
Oh, yeah, we definitely
or
Andre needs
clip
to
this
see
when
this.
Conan shows up in the chat.
This is a Andre must know ASAP.
Yes.
That also even exists.
Apparently, like all of the tables have like Frazetta art.
Is that
on
Frazetta?
them.
Yeah, it's Frazetta. Oh, hold on.
Frazetta art is always addicted to watch it. Like anytime it comes on my timeline, I have no choice but to retweet it.
Oh,
Every
right,
time.
right.
He's up there. He's up on that Mount Rushmore of art for me. Him,
Incredible.
Jack Kirby, Alex Ross.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Alex Ross is even worse for me because I can see some like the ones that he does for Thor, like are always looking nice. And since I only have one comic actually right here.
Mhm.
It's Chuck Dixon one. It's Green Arrow '93.
Mm,
Chuck Dixon one.
Oh, good cover.
nice. That hell yeah, man. Good old school Green Arrow. You cannot go wrong with good old Green Arrow.
I prefer this old look because because I like the fact that was it the Justice League kept his original look.
Oh, dude, don't make me get my old black and white one from freaking.
Here, I'm gonna zoom in real quick.
I got a few of those.
Because this is something Clubby once again would like us to do to geek out a little bit.
Yeah.
Nice.
199. Look, no pun intended, but 199 right there.
199, yes.
Yeah. Oh.
That's a good looking cover.
Oh, I
If you
know.
steal it
I have
twice the
yet to
price.
read it, but it is a really good condition. I got this last Friday. No, Saturday. Hold up. I got something else. No, I mistook this for something else I got. Let me get that for you really quick. So let me zoom out, show you what I did get because I was hanging out 5 picoseconds at the con all Saturday morning. I'll show you the sweet magazine that I got.
All right,
Dave, want to show Dave something. This to give you an idea of how much I paid for my Spider-Mans. This Fantastic Four, I had the price was on the back of this. I used to write it in pencil. This cost me $7.
Oh,
that's it.
It looks very nice.
Well,
when did you pay? When did you pay the $7?
I probably bought this in probably 1970. I would say 5 or 6.
And it was already $7.
And it was $7.
And it was already $7.
Well, it's been just over 50 years that I first found a comic book store. It was in November of 1973. And they had a Fantastic Four #1 on the wall. And it was $50.
Oh. God.
And they had Amazing Spider-Man 6 and 7 in their display case, and they were mint, and they were $3 each.
Oh.
And I couldn't afford that at the time, so I bought these mangy copies, which I've shown here on Nick's when we were doing those issues of Spider-Man, and they were no, I paid like 25 cents for the ones that I bought.
Mangy comics now are probably worth even.
Not really. I mean, if I got the slab, they'd be worth a lot more, but I don't know. Comics are meant to be read, not slab.
I agree.
That's what I do. Yeah, but that's the kind of prices.
Same goes to figures, and this is something that, thanks to Clubby, now is almost basically a rule for me. Plastic pals are meant to be played with.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So Nick, the Ironcaster or who did the Friendzetta there for just a second? Was that Ironcaster? I know that Raquel, she likes she was doing the Friendzetta on Clubby show, and he talked about Friendzetta and stuff. And I'm not trying to show off or anything.
No,
but
did
you do the Fire and Ice on Tuesday night?
Yeah, Toxic Tuesday. Yeah,
Toxic
Fire and
Tuesday,
Ice.
Right?
Yes,
so
sir.
I had realized that
recommended that one for like a year.
I had realized that I didn't have the DVD anymore. It's like, oh shit, I'm gonna go get the DVD, and then this popped up. So show my
zooming in on you, buddy.
Yeah. So I got this, and if you're wondering what that is, okay, you see, 51 to 300, right?
So
and I got this really, really cheap. I don't remember. So it is the full length poster, 2436, signed off by Frank Friendzetta Jr., his son. At 51 to 300, I got it cheap. It was huge.
Wow.
And we talk about influence, Nick, and Clubby and enabling. And when I watched you do that show, I was like, fuck, Just got mine this. And I think I got it for like under $100 or something. I don't know, 50, $60 or something. And I obviously I'm not even taking it out until it goes into a frame, and then it's going back into the. And thanks, Ironcatcher, for pulling that up, man, or whoever that was.
So
It's the reason why you buy 2 of them, not 1. You buy
Because I'm an idiot.
One,
I'm waiting for my Godzilla -1 lenticular 3D poster that I got.
I'm waiting for my Godzilla
-1
North American release 4K and or Blu-ray.
Yes,
it's available in Japan.
I
and
know,
you can order
but
it now,
I'm
but
stubborn.
you can't get it here just yet.
I know, I'm stubborn. I want my North American release. I'm gonna
and
be
you got to
that
get
guy.
it, and you got to get the regular version and the
minus
other
color.
version, the minus color version. I'm waiting for the dual one.
Of course,
yes.
It's in Mark Dean. Mark Dean, we talked about, this and that. I said, Mark, no, dude, it's gonna blow out the sales. Like you will not you won't be able to get it until they reissue it again. I can't even get the you can get the small figure. You can't get I can order it from Japan at $500 some.
It's insane.
But right now you can get the regular one. But I'm talking one with the blue, the fins, the X Plus one. Maybe Ironcatcher knows the X Plus Shonen Rick versions and stuff like that you talked about before. But anyway, I digress.
So when I was hanging out with 5 picoseconds last week in Dallas, we hung out, went to the con together, got some old some Daredevils from 20 years ago. I got Cable, and I got this Cole the Destroyer. Dude,
nice.
When I saw this magazine, I'm like, okay, I have to. I mean, just look at it. Cole battles for his life against the malevolent magic of Thulsa Doom in a time-lost tale of sword and sorcery. All new, plus epic adventure with swashbuckling Solomon Kane. Dude, and of course you got that great cover right there. Like, holy macaroni.
And the way the skull looks in the background looks very sinister.
Yeah, no, it looks very evil cover. Gorgeous nonetheless. So, and there's 5 right there. I said, did I tell you I end up going back to that same dude? Did you really? So this man, I got to tell. I'm just gonna spill the beans at 5 here. We're back issue hunting, which we had a hell of a time haul hunting for old school back issues, and this guy put in front of him a copy of Heavy Metal #1, and he's like, "Put that on hold. I gotta think about it." And we went to another booth, and he kept talking. It's like, man, I feel like I should have gotten it, and then I should have gotten it. So we went to another booth to look at more back issues, and then as he's going through the bin, guess what he finds? Heavy Metal #1 again. It's practically taunting him. This time, the man actually buys it. Nice. I won't tell you the amount. He spent money. I'll say that. If he wants to put on the amount, that's up to him. And that's he got issues 1 through 2. You were drunk on power that morning. I remember watching it, and because he's a Dolph Lundgren member, I finally got to hook him up with his own unique perk. There was a collection there that had old school Shadow comics from the way back when in a collected edition. I was just, I'll hook a brother up. Why not? This will be my thing for him. And of course, I gave him that. And he was just showing me some of the ads in it. Dude, they had a lot of the old ads from those old Shadow magazines in it. It was insane. Oh, dude, some of that art you were showing me from the Epic Illustrator was absolutely crazy good. That I remember you were showing me some of those pages because I was reading I also got Jupiter's Legacy. That's the other thing I'm missing because it's in my room. Jupiter's Legacy, Volume 1 from Mark Miller and Frank Whiteley, and I'm almost done reading that. And yeah, I just remember kind of peeking at the page. I was like, shit, that looks freaking badass. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, when we were on the way out, even at the price, right? We were on the way out. We ran to Quarter Black Garrett on the way out. On the way out of the con, we found Quarter Black Garrett. We were chatting with him for a few minutes, and he was just like, "Oh, Garrett, look what I got." Garrett was just like, At least that's what I think. No, you told. I can't remember if you showed him. I can't remember if you showed him, but I know you told him at the very minimum. And he was just like, "Oh, I think I have issue 2 or 3." But the fact that 5 had number 1, like, Garrett was just, his mind was blown. Like, I couldn't believe the fact that within 10 minutes he ran to 2 copies of issue number 1, and both of them were in pretty good condition at the very least, too. At the very least, once again, the fact that he got taunted twice like that, it was a sign. It was a sign that he needed to have it. And welcome to the show, Mr. Common Nerd. How you doing, man?
Hey guys, what's going on? Sorry, I was trying to be there for the whole. I was trying to be there for the whole show tonight. Let me give me a second. I'm trying to get my headphones in.
You're good.
I'm in the middle of moving this weekend, so.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Everything all right, man?
Yeah. No, we just had to get a new. The landlord wanted to remodel the house we currently were living in, so we had to find somewhere new.
Oh yeah, they kicked you, right? God damn it!
Yeah. So we're
Fucking hell!
Yeah. So I'm in the.
God, that is just a dick move.
Fucking hell! Yeah.
There we go. All right, now I can hear you guys. Now we can hear you guys. Yeah, so now I'm currently out in the new garage staining the desk. Me and my son just got done building. But yeah, I had to get on tonight because I'm sorry I've been absent lately. But with what happened to Clubby, yeah, just with the move and everything else, things have been kind of crazy around the house. So, but I with everything that happened to Clubby this week, there's no way I couldn't come on and at least show face because we talked. I mean, Diesel and I and everybody else talked about it.
He said about showing his face.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's because I'm currently shirtless in the garage because it's hot out here. And I'm covered. I'm covered in stain right now. I'm covered in stain.
Yeah, no one wants to see your man tits either.
Exactly. Give me another 6 months to a year, and you guys will be paying me to take off my shirt. Don't worry. But yeah, it's just like it was one of those things. Like Diesel and I, we all went over it for like an hour. On Wednesday night, talking about all that kind of stuff, talking about Clubby and how Friday nights aren't going to be the same without him reading the freaking beginning of the comics. And just like, I put a post out on Twitter and I'm just going to say my piece and get out of you guys' way so you guys get back to it. But it's like, I put this post out on Twitter. It's like, I mean, Clubby was the guy, like, he was always the guy that if I messaged asking for comic book advice, because I'm the noob around here when it comes to a lot of this stuff. And he was always there. And like, his stories, and I'm sure people have probably already said this stuff tonight and everything else, but his stories about all the comic book creators, the legends that he met over the years, and like his absolute disdain for Stan Lee will never stop tickling me. Like, no matter how many times I hear about that. Like, I put in my Twitter post too. I was like, tell Jack Kirby I said hi and tell Stan Lee fuck off for all of us.
Oh, can you imagine what's going on right now, man? Dude. Up there, we talk. Yeah,
I will pay to see.
They were probably like, "No, Clubby, you got to go back. We can't deal with you, dude. You got to go back.
You can't spend the next 100 years
some kind of heavenly
at
bar up there talking shit to each other."
Oh, dude, yeah, it's like you can't spend the next 100 years yelling at Stan Lee. Okay, this just isn't going to work. Okay, but
I wish I was around to hear that because that sounded like something interesting. It's kind of like it sounded like what Max and Alf conversation.
Oh yeah. Tell Mexican Iron Man his favorite television show's Alf and see what happens. That's like telling Clubby, "Hey, Clubby, I heard you were a huge Stan Lee fan."
Stephen M. Kellell's right. Bob Kane too, and that goes both ways to Bob Kane, not just to Bill Finger, but also it's true. But not just because of Bill Finger, but also because of how much Bob Kane was also taking from the Shadow as well.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
So both ways, he screwed over Bill Finger for Batman, and he also definitely ripped off some elements of the Shadow. I think we're at the point now it's kind of irrefutable.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. It was pretty obvious, and like that was some of my favorite stuff about Clubby was how much he knew about all of that kind of stuff, and just the wealth of knowledge that he was because of all the decades of experience around and in the comic book industry was just. I mean, we lost a piece of history. You know what I mean? We didn't just lose one of our closest friends and one of our most reliable buddies, but we also lost a piece of history. And the only solace I took in all of this was the fact that Clubby streamed so much and spent so much time with so many of us recorded that he will literally live on as long as the internet lives. Clubby will be there. You know what I mean? And that's one of the beautiful things about that, and how much he enjoyed sharing his knowledge with the rest of us and everything else. It's like we could spend the rest of our lives 6 hours a day watching nothing but Clubby streams, and we wouldn't get through all of it. You know, because he was everywhere, and he was always trying to be there for everybody as often as he could. And it's just like, and it's like the only regret I have is because I knew how busy he was. Jeez. I never asked him to come on because I was like, you're too damn busy. I don't want to interrupt.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, yes. You know, and so it's like now I'm really kicking myself in the ass. And yes, that is what if Bob Kane had created Batman without Bill Finger? I love it.
This was one of these comic panels that Clubby would bring up every now and then that always kind of comes to mind, and I thought it'd be kind of perfect to kind of pull it up because he liked he would always talk about the importance of Bill Finger on the character of Batman.
Right.
How, if they had just gone with Bob Kane's ideas without Bill Finger, it was like Batman and no one, the boy wonder. What to do? That looks like a bad guy. Time to go to action. Ow. Say, that was easy. Time to go to jail. Doopy-doopy-doopy-doo.
All of Bob Kane's other ideas.
What's with the wings, pal?
Hilarious.
I looked at him for a sketch by Leonardo da Vinci. Beyond that, I don't know. Can you help me? Is there some sort of commissioner or police officer I could talk to? Not in this comic.
Shot in the nuts.
Oh, that is so good.
Are there any other imaginative and colorful villains to be capturing? Nope.
I'm surprised.
Go home. I wish I had a car.
Buckler said something to say real quick. Go ahead.
I'm surprised that Razor Fist and Clubby weren't talking about the Shadow together and about how much they didn't like he was copying off of the Shadow.
Oh, dude. I remember the one time Razor and Clubby were on the same stream. I luckily happened to be there at that moment. It was last year at Tom Cars' B-Day stream. And trust me, when I said I had no idea Razor Fist is going to be on that stream, it was just like, oh, hey, it's Tom's birthday. Well, of course I got to show up for Tom's birthday. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm sure Clubby will be there too. It's going to be fun. And then, then the show got going. I'm like, oh. And then, also, I had my camera off. And I saw Andre and Tom Lane people. And I'm like, oh, shit, Razor Fist is here? No one told me this is going to happen. And I was like, what the fuck? I was just like, holy shit. We're basically near a YouTube god because he's one of the OGs of YouTube. If you think about it, he's not the biggest name, but he's a name who's been here. He's kind of like Motorhead or Overkill. He's been here since the OG days. The way a band like Motorhead has been around since the OG days of metal. He's that guy that's just always been here. Now, obviously, he has a very loyal audience, very, very loyal audience. But the fact that he's just one of those names who commands respect. Yeah, right? Razor Force. And I'm just thinking, holy crap, this is fucking awesome. I'm going to be on stream with Razor Fist. Cool. And I remember, as Clubby was going out, he immediately, was plugging his channel. But then he kind of cut it and owned himself out about playing his channel. He says, by the way, Razor Fist, I absolutely love what you do talking about the Shadow on both your channels, which obviously is a reference to his main channel and his other channel called the Shadowcast. And Razor was really over the moon about the fact that he brought that up. I was just like, oh boy, it's a good thing Clubby isn't going down, because otherwise, if he had just brought him up in the midst of conversation, that would have derailed whatever conversation was going on at that moment, and those two have had at about the Shadow. Because I saw Razor just I could hear his voice perk up when he mentioned the Shadow, and he said he thanked him and everything for it. But I was just like, oh, here we go. I was like, oh yeah, it was one of those moments. Wow, that I saw that just happen right now. And there's one of the photos I saw, an older photo of Clubby, and it was a white shirt, and I saw a top hat on it. I'm pretty sure he was wearing a shirt of the Shadow at that moment. I was just like, that has to be a photo of the Shadow. So it's awesome to see that happened. But man, that was like a cool moment to see. Yeah, man, Clubby. Whether it was, I remember the art show we did on the Rocketeer. Oh man, Dave Stevens, dude, that was I remember when Clubby and I got some of a lot of fun shows I had when we talked The Long Halloween, Spidey the Animated Series, Daredevil Born. Oh god, hold on, I'm zooming in on you, D.
Zoom in on that.
in.
By the way,
Dude.
Nice.
Nick, after we see the poster, there's a short that love, a clip that Clubby loved.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it should be played.
Oh, all right, D. Martin, did you ever find what Enterprise poster? There's the one that looks like it's a schematic of it, and I was lucky to find one.
The Enterprise. You mean the blueprints?
Yes.
Yes. Oh yeah, I still have my old Franz Joseph Star Trek blueprints.
mm-hmm.
Still, I'd fish them out, except I have to go in the garage. It took me a bit to dig it out. And I have the old Star Trek technical manual.
So Stephen M. Kellell wrote, Clubby's impact was huge. Said on all of us. He was mentioned on the Side Scores podcast the other day. It was really nice. So yeah, I met Southern Craig Saturday night in Dallas, and dude's a tall son of a bitch. Seriously, like I could look up and I think I saw Craig up there. No joke. But yeah, he was a really, really nice guy. I'll admit I've not really listened to his channel much, but he was a really cool guy about it. And I admitted that to him, but I told him I look forward to checking out his channel. I know Razor's a part of his show on Tuesdays. I just never got around to it, but I finally got around to hearing it a little bit on Tuesday, and I'm like, okay, I will have to look more into it. But no, Craig was a really cool guy, and I definitely look forward to hearing more Side Scores. And yeah, it was cool that he did that. It was really cool that he absolutely did that. Yeah, I saw Nerd Rock was sharing the book Razor Fist as well. I know Gary had been on a show with Clubby as well. I remember catching the replay of that.
They had a show together that was absolutely amazing.
So good. I could listen to that just even though I know those two both. I know them both like as humans and as friends, but I could still listen to those two just as a fan, and I was feeling that conversation hard because they both ran comic shops, so it was just like the ultimate like it was the worlds collide of different eras of comic shops.
Yes, if Eric K's out there, there are still a lot of us out here. We lost the best of us, but there's still Gary, and there's me and Dark Shadow Logan. We're still gonna get you.
Oh, I remember
Gary worked for Tesla. Don't forget.
I remember
Go ahead, Muhammad.
About the X-Men, the animated series. I was talking about the Shadow of was it Katie, the pilot episode where it was about Katie, and I remember he recommended me to Retro Blasting's video of it. I didn't know that there was so much of a change up in the lineup from the 80s, and I'm like, why would you want to change it from the 80s when the 80s and the way each one bounce off each other as characters perfect? So they were trying to get, what is it, the Dazzler, and at one point was Dazzler was a part of it, and and they changed the way the Wolverine's accent. Was it an Australian one? But the animations were nice. Of whenever you saw Magneto, like the way they did that, and I didn't even notice that there was a Japanese intro for X-Men. That you still look at the YouTube.
And
Once
upon a time.
Like finding these videos in the YouTube channels or wherever you found information, like I'd always look at the description of Clubby's videos. So if I wanted to, right away, if it's a subject matter is right there. I still have the one that he showed me for the fourth wall, like the organization for how that each in proper order. And I still use that. I still have that open in my browser to this day.
Nice.
So if I'm like, and I didn't know like Superman was involved in like the early parts of it, like and the way it was weaved around, like I always find the way with the Jack Kirby writing, like was it showing technology and the way the patterns were. I'm like, it's always interesting. Even the ones that weren't in color, and he was like, I didn't know like Galactus had a ship before to get to where he needed to go. And the way his character would always come by, it's like it's not like he was particularly good, like evil, like doing that because he felt like it was necessary for him to do so. And he said basically all life is of nothing of consequence. So you kind of saw how the Watcher had to not break his rule, but he kind of had to know the way to deal with Galactus and also say this world has promise. And the fact that they found the nullifier and he's like shocked.
Oh, but it's not even a real nullifier. It's a fake one.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
He's right.
That's the ruse.
And it was a clever ruse because it stopped him for a bit. He's like, how did you like and it also shows that this was the one time Reed didn't have a plan to deal with him. Like the Watcher was kind of helping him out with the best that he could. And the Watcher is usually quiet. He'll say what it needs to say at some point. It's like but it was
out.
Like it was like almost like he was just basically like Gandalf, but to them, like trying to help them out and deal with Galactus. And this was the first time Reed had no idea how to deal with it. And it was like he was just a natural disaster. And I think like with Godzilla, you see in -0, where it's just a force of nature. And you see him, you try to run, or in like you said, like in the Thing's case, he'd go in head first and try to punch him. And like these things are like, and I always like to see how, and Levi's pointing out different genres he was doing. You can kind of see in his work, those previous works that he did before. Everything was like the roadmap, like the Yellow Road, but it was just leading eventually.
Because there was a structure to it, man. There was a structure. Things fell into place. It was clear he had a vision. It was very apparent. There was a vision. And for every setup, there was a payoff. That was the art of storytelling 101. I've never written anything before, but I think I have an idea of basic storytelling elements. And that's definitely from my perspective what that was. He knew how to set up dominoes, and he sure as fuck knew how to knock them down as well. He set that shit up like a bowling game, and he went for the strike. And he got them strikes again and again and again. What a...
And
Go ahead, finish your thought.
Like between Thing and even Dr. Doom, the way that he would show his background. Like at first we're thinking, okay, like I know for a fact he was like in the same college as Reed Richards, but when he broke it down how it started for him. And I didn't know like he was like an actual gypsy and his mother knew some sorcery. Like
Yep.
And it was always interesting how his journey all the way to where he was, like the journey and how he became who he was. And
those stories
like
fucked up.
And the fact that Reed warned him about, hey, don't do this. Like, and he didn't listen to him. And then, like, the fact that his face changed, he got expelled, and he had to go and walk around with that face. Like, that became a scar for him, but that also became the origin of who he was going to be going forward. And you got to see the contrast between how Reed was and how Victor Von Doom was. But a good villain, like I like the fact that the Thing finally got his paws on him. Like he's been waiting for issues. Like, oh, I'm going to get him this time. I'm going to get it this time. But when he finally got him,
it's called the hook. It's for the next one.
Yeah, and because it's always interesting how he would. But then you also saw that it wasn't just anger, but towards the end, that's when he decided to leave. and you saw how that built over issues, where the Frightful Four finally got the thing and changed the way he was thinking. Like, it made him evil, and it you got like in like it's always shows how much his personality just popped up at you for each page of panels. To see him be the exact opposite was strange. I didn't know how to deal with that. But it was also part of his journey, which led to issue 51. Because they're all asking, "Hey, how can I help you?" Like, they're asking, he said, "Oh, I'm fine." He's just carried on. But like, and it's always like that. I didn't realize how much the character, like the thing, grew on me. Or
dude, he's one of the best characters. I mean, there's a reason why my children love him over my Johnny Storm. My children, I've seen them change their taste in food. I've seen them change their taste in cartoons. But one thing has remained the same. Johnny Storm is awful, but the thing is great. And that's something Clubby proudly held over me.
He's awful, Nick. He's awful, Nick.
Johnny Storm's my guy. Oh, they hate Johnny Storm. Hate him. But Ben Grimm, he's all right. They like Ben Grimm. They like the blue-eyed rock guy. And
you ever love him? You ever love an idol of millions?
Yeah, Clubby love it because Clubby was the first guy on YouTube to ever actually talk to my child. Him and Paulie Latino Slant, and yeah, Clubby is so proud of that. He's just like, yeah, they got good taste, I was just like, it's supposed to be about Johnny Storm. What the hell, man? Nope, solid Ben Grimm, and still to this day. 3.5 years later, to the very end, still about Benjamin J. Grimm.
And it's always how quickly that you're like the taste change. You're like thinking, okay, I had to think. All right, I was curious about why about Reed's character. I thought I was going to like Torch the most, but then that changed right quickly. Whether it was a joke about the Yancey Street type, if I ever get them, like they put him in a tutu. They put him in a poster, and he was talking about what he would do when he would get them. He even wrote a letter saying, like, well, it was always funny because I always try to get a panel out, and I would just put it on Discord, and why I would laugh at it, like I was just laughing my ass off. I was like, just die, whatever I thought I'd go down, and. And that's what I like about it. Like something is best not to know all of it. I like the fact that they're unknown, but you knew that they existed.
Oh yeah, it was the coolest element. One of the coolest elements about them, my guy. Absolutely one of the coolest. Okay, I got some comments from Stephen M. Kal-El, and right here it says, "I'll always be eternally grateful to Clubby for making me a mod on his channel. To date, it's still the only channel that I'm a mod on. I consider that to be a great honor." And then he says, "This stream is about Clubby, though, but since it's always also about how you affect us, I just want to make sure." Yeah, I meant what I said, man. You don't. With me, you don't have to feel like you're spamming. I know who you are. When you're ever here, you're very contributable to conversation. I know you are a genuine fan of the medium, and I know you were initially here because of Clubby. And in case I don't ever see you again after the show, I will say thank you for supporting Clubby the way you did, and thank you for your time and energy and your knowledge. Because every now and then I'd see you throw up some great comments in the chat, and I love to see that, man. So I trust me when I say it, like I already missed the fuck out of that, man. But dude, it has been so fun. I can't believe what I'm saying, because I didn't honestly think tonight's stream was gonna be all that much fun. But it really has been fun to laugh and to think, because I feel like Wednesday night stream was a lot more filled with sorrow tonight. Like, had some starting off, but throughout the show we were able to have a lot of laughs to think about all the funny that Clubby brought to our lives, and of course the wisdom and the knowledge. I guess you could say we're kind of the flip side show of Wednesday night, but Wednesday show is still absolutely necessary despite all. But man, I am so glad we got to do this properly. Like, once again, we can't have just not done this. And now that we have 42 votes, we will end the poll. And starting next week, the show is going to be retitled with episode 1, Clubby's Comic Shop. Episode 1 starting next week by a landslide. Yet other 4%. Clobberin Times Comic Talk at 20%. Clobberin Times Talk at 4%. So that is it. The jury is out. That is going to be the name of the show going forward, and I am really I'm actually really happy and honored to be renaming. This is one of the I'm like, there's no reason. You're right. Ooh, a number 1 issue, right? So next week could be our number 1 issue. This will be for sure mint condition. All right.
No gimmicks though. No foil stamp or holograms.
No free comic board or on the
But
back.
we will make sure to stamp that it's a collectible issue on the thumbnail.
This is actually a genuine collectible. This is a genuine collectible item. This is gonna be collectible. If you want to do CGC, I'm not gonna do CGC. If you want to do it, you take with it what you will. I'm not gonna do CGC, but I do understand there's a market. You can CGC away with it on your own terms. Yeah, right. 9.8. Hey, do your worst. I'm not gonna do that, but you guys are welcome to do that. Carry away. Yeah, we actually, I can say we're 3 episodes away from 150. I think with the new name going forward with Clobberin Times Talk, Clubby's Comic Shop, I think we're gonna hit 150. Fuck that shit. I don't think, I know with Clubby's Comic Shop we're gonna hit 150. We're gonna get D-Bud back. We're gonna get to ASM 61 through 80 later in this year. We'll get to some Fantastic Four down the line. We'll have to have 5 picoseconds on sometime between now and forever and talk some classic Star Wars. We're at the also, we'll have to eventually cover some DC. And I know Clubby and I wanted to talk about Huck, so now I gotta make sure we make up for that on here, talking about Huck. So from Mark Miller and Raphael Albuquerque as well. So we'll make up for that over here for Huck.
You know,
it's gonna be awesome.
There's only one thing that I feel it will be cumbersome about the issue number 1, and is that I have said that an issue for 20 I will get everyone in the panel high, and that it will take 3 years more.
Cypress Hill high, man.
You know,
it's for 20
work. You're going to put in some extra work, but it seems like you're a man who is willing to put in the work. You know, I kind of respect that. I really do. All right, guys. Unfortunately, this is going to be the part where all good things do come to an end. However, if you are someone who's still up and alive and needing a place to go, I am going to redirect the stream to my friend Stone Loki. And thank you, Davine Duckworth, for being here. I'm not plugging in channels tonight. This is Clubby show. I'm not telling you where we're going to be. This is a one-off show. If you really want to come back, Clubby's Comic Shop next Friday night. That's it. And thank you for being here, Jackknife. Once the stream ends, it's going to redirect you to my buddy Stone Loki. I didn't tell him. This is a surprise raid for him. So you're welcome to raid him if you want. Until then, you have a great night. And one last cheers for our friend Clobberin Times before we go, because I'm going to miss you, man. I'm very thankful for the time, energy, memories, wisdom, knowledge. You name it, I'm going to miss all of it. Every single last bit of it. I'm 3.5 years of my life, and I show you every single damn week, sometimes every day for it. And I never got sick of it one bit. That was a never-ending conversation that could have gone on for an eternity more. Unlike the Eternals. This one's to you, buddy.
I never regretted a stream with him.
Not once. For all the sleepless nights, the hanging out with you, knowing I had to be up at 5 a.m. I do it all over again, buddy.
Yep.
I do
Well,
it all
same here,
over
Nick.
again.
Changing the jobs and still watching
Yeah.
the shows. The Monday, the Wednesday, and I'm going to tell you that Thursday, man, that hit hard yesterday, bro. That was bad.
I'm proud to have had that guy as a
and
former
Pablo,
mentor.
I'm proud of you guys. What you did tonight, Nick, D-Bud,
Thank you, Dave.
Saeed.
Thank you, Conquest, for being. Thank you, and D-Bud. Thank you guys for joining in with
Bear.
us. Thank you
Bear,
guys.
sorry.
The Clubby.
To Clubby.
Clubby.
All right.
See you next time, brother.
Goodbye.
Hang in there,
Good
Pablo.
fight.
Keep pissing off